But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here with your co-host, Ash, the reptilian from Mars, and we would like to say hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It is Wednesday night, one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. This show is live. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We are streaming live on Facebook, DLive, and YouTube. And we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show at any point tonight, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. There's an additional chat room rolling for the Fringe FM. Join that as well at fringe.fm/chat. You'll get direct invites in both places, and that's what's going on. That's the deal, and we're talking about all kinds of crazy stuff like we always do. And of course, let's see if we can get our uplink to Mars. Beep beep, Earth to Mars. Are you there, Ash? Do you copy? What's happening, buddy?
Hello, humans. Can you read me?
Loud and clear. Wow, we got a hot uplink to Mars tonight. Good stuff. How are you, man?
Pretty good. Just chilling here on Mars. So it's a bit quiet these days. I heard Jeff Bezos he went back to Earth. So luckily the death slave camps aren't on full force up here on Mars. So just chilling, ready to talk about hot alien fire tonight.
Ash back to spit the hot alien fire. What's up, guys? I see all there in the chat. Thanks for showing up. I'll say hi in a little bit here. Okay, so that's what all the things like I described. That's what this show is all about, and we're going to talk about one particular incident that may be cascaded into many different incidents. So again, we're we're doing a little bit more of the from yesterday, continuing some of this conspiracy speculation theater. That's my take. I encourage you to do look into this stuff yourself and make up your own mind. Please remember, I'm not trying to convince anybody one way or the other. Just I think these are good conversations to have. But where shall we begin? Shall we begin with this Eisenhower stuff? What do you think, Ash?
Well, currently, to kind of bring it in ground, we are going to go off in left field, but let's start at home plate. Recently, we've had our government confirm UFOs, right? And they've hinted in so many words that it's not of this world. So, the question is, where are them aliens? And why have, if it is true, either they're flying, the government's flying UFOs, which are ours, which are based on aliens, or it's aliens flying UFOs, which I guess are still based on aliens. So, at the end of the day, where are them aliens? And there's been a lot of rumors going around for a long time about what it was, and kind of what happened and why there's secrecy. Well, tonight we're going to explore a theory, a pretty complete theory, if I do say so myself. But at the end of the day, it's up to you guys, what you guys think, and if you think maybe it's plausible. So I guess we could start with the one of the greatest rumors in all of UFOlogy as of alien stuff is the meeting between Eisenhower and the extraterrestrials. You've heard about this one, right, Mike?
Yeah, so this is actually one of those ones that it spawns a lot of things, right? So if we go back into the history of ufology just a little bit, everybody remembers probably the shot heard around the world in UFO terms, which was, of course, the crash at Roswell, all right? And that was 1947. It was in a little town outside of Roswell, actually, called Corona, I believe. And it was, again, 1947, and it got a lot of media attention. And everybody knows the story. If you're into UFOs whatsoever, it's probably the great-granddaddy of all UFO stories that really spawned a lot of this mythology. So I think we can start there to kind of fill this out. So just in general terms, to catch people up that aren't aware of the story, right? The background, the framework of the story. The crash happens. Some farmers find it. They start collecting pieces and contact. The sheriff comes by. Everybody starts freaking out, and then the military shows up. And so, of course, they clear everybody out. The military starts collecting the pieces, and the rest kind of goes down in history as one of the largest cover-ups ever, including, of course, the famous weather balloon, the metamaterial of sorts that you can crumple and it would reform its shape, like all kinds of mythology just surrounding that crash that really started pretty much ufology in general terms. But then shortly thereafter, so that was July 1947, just going off of memory here. And then in September 1947, Eisenhower actually enacted the National Security Act, okay, which meant that they were able to suddenly hide things from the public under the veil of national security, okay? So those two things happening within such close proximity of each other, it says a lot. It says a lot about the nature of the cover-up. It says a lot about the nature of whether the Roswell crash was, as some have actually stated in the past, that there were actual alien bodies like extraterrestrials. A lot of that, right? Like it's so dense, and there's people that have written books about this. There's people that have said they smuggled out these metamaterials that ended up with Art Bell and then Linda Moulton Howe, and then, like the story is like the story that doesn't end. And this is all the way back in 1947. Okay, so then we have the National Security Act, and then after that, we have some more of these rumors going on with 1956. Now, Eisenhower, is it Eisenhower? Maybe I got the first name wrong. But Eisenhower is the guy in 1956 that supposedly ended up having, well, let's talk about this. Let's pull up this article. And did I miss anything there? Anything notable that might need to be added to that brief there, my good sir?
Great. You're so good at this, Mike. You're just the best, But wasn't it like the FBI and the CIA or something was also enacted right around that time too? Like a lot of our intelligence agencies were created somewhere around this kind of time period, and the IRS and all the evils of government. And I guess the idea is that, the American military became into possession of some stuff, and they needed to figure out what this was and shave money away to reverse engineer it. And so that's an important note as we move forward. And so before we move forward, though, I did want to mention that this is I'm going to propose a comprehensive theory. Again, I'm going to say this, that, this is some rumor stuff. This is pretty common. I'm going to go off in left field and speculate hard, right? But I'm going to paint a pretty full picture. And in this picture, I'm going to talk about who are the aliens, what they are, what they met, what they got, what they're doing, and all that stuff. So if you want to kind of take the hint of that maybe juice, tune in tonight, because we're going to really get into it. And I want to hear from you guys and say what you think. If you think this sounds right to me, man. I'm not 100%. I'm never 100% on anything, but this is my default theory for now. So yeah, moving forward, this happens, and then supposedly Eisenhower, right? So Eisenhower, he has like a dentist appointment, emergency dentist appointment. He disappears for like a day, right? And it's like not on his schedule, and people are like, "Where the heck did he go?" And then he comes back. And then these rumors start happening that Eisenhower met with aliens, and it's almost akin to encounters of a third kind. That he snuck away, he met with different extraterrestrial groups, and there was some sort of deal or exchange, primary for technology, and and then kind of like that's the rumors that get out, right? And we've heard that, if you've ever done any rabbit hole YouTube kind of research, YouTube armchair YouTube researcher, you've heard about this. You guys are familiar with this, right? So I know you've heard about this, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. Let's backtrack just a sec. So Eisenhower went missing suddenly on the evening of February 20th, 1954. This is straight from UFOinsight.com. I've already linked it to the chats. Good stuff. If you guys aren't aware of this story, it's one of the great granddaddies, basically, that kind of started this whole conspiracy cover-up of aliens. Very, very X-Files type stuff. With we're not going to get too deep into the Majestic 12 stuff, but it is all intertwined in this story, which throughout the years, of course, has been, let's say, debunked, right? Just like everything has been basically debunked, because you can always just like you could cherry pick your data and say, yep, look, this is all true. You could also cherry pick the opposite way and say, look, it's all fake, right? So that's where the conversation comes in. Like, what's the reality of these two stories? And I want to point out too, of note, is that there is no doubt whatsoever in my mind, and I don't think this is, if you're listening to this show, it's a conspiracy show, for crying out loud, but I'm pretty damn positive that there is a cover-up, all right? That there has been a cover-up since Roswell, through Project Blue Book, into the modern time, okay? Meaning that what they're covering up, who knows? But there's definitely been some shenanigans being played by the United States government and governments the world over, of course, because, well, there's what they call a truth embargo. That's the fancy 2-bit term that the ufologists use. But they're for sure 100%. I think most of us could probably agree that in some capacity there's been a cover-up from the government to the public regarding crashed saucers, UFOs in the sky, possible alien bodies picked up, and these things, right? I say possible, maybe, I don't know, but there is definitely a cover-up in place. So I want to make that the important part here is the reason we have to speculate on a lot of this stuff is because a lot of this is basically buried in misinformation, buried in propaganda, buried in government-sponsored debunking, which of course Project Blue Book was one of those. Like, there's a ton of information that kind of really just cascades over this and makes it difficult to discern the truth. And that's why, like I've always said, I think that it makes for a good conversation. So I want to point out before we start, there is for sure and continuing since 1947 to the present day an active cover-up by the government at large to keep information from getting out to the public regarding UFOs. And I'm not going to hedge off that. That is the truth. As far as I'm concerned, I don't do that a lot where I'm like, nope, this is absolute. That for sure is 100%. And the data out there is irrefutable in my opinion, all right? If you disagree, fine. You disagree, fine. But okay, so I just want to put that out there because if we don't, it leaves the door open, right? The cover-up is in full effect. But let's go back to 1954, Eisenhower, right?
No.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Jump in there.
So between Roswell and the supposed meetings, UFOs flew over the freaking White House, kind of like how you would want that UFOs fly over the White House and then they land on the front lawn, right? But they fly over the White House, and for whatever reason, they have communications. Now, there's this whole story where this guy, he touches an UFO and he gets this download, and the download is they reverse engineered the binary that he got in his head was coordinates, and it was literally like Encounters of a Third Kind. So I suspect Encounters of a Third Kind is a documentary to some degree of what happened. It's the government's way of kind of leaving some sort of bread trail that they can refer to in the future. So this supposed meeting happens. Now, this is where the speculation begins, and I'm going to speculate hard.
Wait, we gotta pace this right. If you jump straight into the good stuff, we got hours behind us, man. Let me do this real fast. Let me do this. So this is the infamous thing that started this entire theory that we're going to talk about tonight. So Eisenhower went missing on the evening of February 20th, 1954. There were rumors and fears quickly circulating that he may have died, to which the official response was that the president had to undergo emergency dental work and was now recovering well. All right, so the president disappears. He's whisked away. Nobody knows what happened. Speculation is the worst may have happened, all right, in this certain situation. Now, of course, right, we've seen these things before with presidents being whisked away with all kinds of things happening, right? I mean, it's not uncommon because, of course, national security, right? If something, they get some kind of wind that something's going to happen nearby, then they'll run the president off and try and cover him up and, keep him safe. So who knows, right? But then they said, no. In reality, the president had been whisked off to an emergency, it was emergency dental work. But according to this article, and as the mythology goes, in reality, the president had been whisked off to an emergency meeting with an alien race said to be from the Pleiades star cluster. And they are often referred to as Nordics due to their blue eyes, blonde hair, and pale skin. And that's according to this one source. Again, this is UFO Insight, written by a good friend of ours who's been on the show, actually. His name is Marcus Louth. If you guys don't know this site, please give them some love as well. UFOinsight.com has a lot of fantastic stuff there. So, all right. So I think that kind of frames it a little better. There's more here, but I'm sure you got some stuff to chip in. And so just slow it down, Ash. I know you're chomping at the bit to get to the thing here, but let's just pace ourselves, buddy. Let's take our time.
Well, I'd like to do the thesis.
Okay, all right.
So and then kind of get in the specific, because people are going to call, and you know what I'm saying. So
sure, go for it.
Well, I do want to make some points. You mentioned that there is a cover up, and so let's speculate. Let's fill in the blanks, because now UFOs are real, right? There's some new data. We can cross-reference it against that and come to conclusions. Why would there be a cover-up? Let's speculate. Maybe it was ours, right? And we were keeping secrets from the Soviets. Maybe it was a weather balloon. Well, that doesn't work because UFOs are real. And they're not ours, supposedly. So they're either lying then or they're lying now. It's either way, there's no truth. So there's still a cover-up, right? So again, UFOs are real. They come from somewhere. Aliens. So then, if we're not talking about secret aliens, if there's a secret, it means two things. The aliens want the secrecy, and the government wants the secrecy. They both do, which is terrifying, right? That's like a black box of what the heck is going on, right? So, and this theory encompasses it. So, okay. So here's the theory. You guys have heard parts of this. I'm going to go through it real quick, very, very little detail. Then we'll go into where it's from and all that stuff, right? So there's a lot to bite, to chew here. And it basically is that the government met with different extraterrestrial groups, okay? Some of which were somewhat benevolent. So there's three factions. There's the Galactic Federation of Worlds, which is just basically like a bunch of different alien dudes, and they don't really have a strong presence here. Then there's the Reptilians and the Orions, okay? The Reptilians and the Orions met with our government together, okay? Now, what did our government ask for? What did they want in the exchange? They wanted shiny things, like a child. They wanted equipment. They wanted technology. And what did they trade in response? So I imagine the Galactic Federation of Worlds, the rumors, they wanted us to denuclearize. They wanted this, that. And we didn't come into agreement with them, the good guys. So we came in agreement with the bad guys, which is the reptilians and the Orions. Orions kind of look like us. It's basically the Egyptians, right? That's where that faction comes from. Now, we're in speculation land, right, guys? But tell me if this doesn't sound... If you don't see this in Hollywood, if you don't see it... There's so many ways to kind of... This kind of solves every... conspiracy. And so the reptilians and the Orions met with our human government and they said, yeah, sure, we'll give you all the shiny things you want. We just want one thing. And then shortly after that, the abductions started, right? That's when the abduction phenomenon started in high gear. And it's basically the aliens wanted our genetics, which is our rightful heir to this planet for whatever reason or not. And ever since then, these two factions have worked their way into our governments and institutions, and have slowly been taking over. And that we're in a very precarious situation with this. And the government doesn't want to talk about a meeting where they agreed to let aliens abduct humans. So right off the bat, they screwed the pooch, and now they can't even talk about it, right? They can't even come clean. It's such a horrible conversation to have. So the abduction phenomenon happens. We have all that stuff. We have all these rumors of like X-Files where the government has all these extraterrestrial vehicles and stuff, right? Ooh, they're out there. Mulder's like sneaking on the base and seeing the lights. And we've been trying to reverse engineer these things ever since. And we've been in a Cold War with this faction. And this faction is looking to pretty much clamp down the Earth for their own use. Now we can argue about their intentions, but anyway, yeah, that's the grand theory of it. And yeah, we'll get into how this comes up and stuff like this. But it's kind of a narrative that it's nothing new, right? You've heard something like this before, right, Mike?
Yeah. So there's a lot here, and this kind of ties into the work of Dr. David Jacobs, which we've talked about once in a while on this show. And the outline makes sense, okay? And you can kind of weave in Bob Lazar. Like there's a lot of sort of things that corroborate the theory, but again, right? Because of the cover up and because of all the information, the cascade of the debunks and the rebunks and the other bunks, and then the people that believe it hook, line, and sinker no matter what. I don't know. Like again, that's part of the conversation and why we have the conversation in this capacity. But so with all of that, that's the theory. That's the working theory, what we're going with tonight. And as you know, just kind of exploring some of the mythology of the ufology world and trying to figure out what the heck is really going on. So as we finish this up, there's the brief and what the conversation is going to be about tonight. As usual, we'd love to hear from you guys. So if you want to be part of the show at any point, I'm going to put the phone number back up on the stream, and it is this: 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we're talking about the Eisenhower meeting, supposedly with the extraterrestrials, and how it cascaded from there. We go Roswell, Eisenhower, ETs, and then off the rails after that. So we're going to be talking about that, maybe exploring some of that mythology, and again, looking to hear from you. If you want to be part of the show, troubledminds.org is the official website. Click the Discord link, join us there. Phone number is right on top of the website. You can't miss it. That's 702-957-1037. I'm Michael Strange. This is Ash the Reptilian from Mars. This entirety is Troubled Minds, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here with your co-host, Ash, the reptilian from Mars. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And we're taking your phone calls tonight. If you want to be part of the show at any point, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Join the Discord at troubleminds.org and also at fringe.fm/chat. I'm watching them both. And we're talking about a possible deal with extraterrestrials. And of course, looking to hear from you. Do you believe this stuff? And you know, we're going back into the mythology, to the deep mythology, back to the 1947 days and beyond, from Roswell to the supposed meeting with extraterrestrials and Eisenhower and the rest of that. And that's what's on deck. So welcome back, Ash. Are you there? Testing 1 2. Uplink to Mars in full effect, I hope.
Uplink successful.
Nice.
I'm here.
Nice.
All
right. So anything to add there? So part of the mythology of basically UFOs forever and the cover up and all the rest of that, and then we're kind of looking at possibly what is called Dr. Michael Salla. I know a lot of people raise their eyebrows and shake their head when you bring up his name, but he actually talks about exopolitics, meaning that politics between terrestrial entities, Earth governments, and then those politics matching up and being considered and negotiated with extraterrestrials of sorts. So as sort of the conversation, I guess we could throw that into the mix. We're kind of talking exopolitics tonight, aren't we?
Yeah. I guess it's interesting. Exopolitics, is potentially a thing, right? Where if there are extraterrestrials, there's anything other than what we know, humans, right? Even interdimensional, whatever. There's decisions and stuff to be made. But, the common factor is that we're left out of them. We are, these conversations, these meetings are happening in deep, dark, underground bases or just, in secret. And I think these, Alonzo and these guys are pushing for disclosure. We need some sort of level of disclosure so that we can join this conversation. This conversation needs to be out in the open, because just judging by, do we really trust the elites? I'm sorry, I'm trying to. It's tough, Mike, to be on here and actually make sense, and say things that are good. But yeah, this conversation needs to come out in the open. Look at COVID. The first thing they wanted to do was lock down, ruin the economy, and just set everything on fire. It was like, 15 days to slow the spread. They weren't doing it based on data. They were shutting down certain businesses, but not Target and Walmart. It was just a nightmare, right? So if this year has taught us anything, it's that we shouldn't trust our elites with any decision. Anytime we have an open conversation, we have votes, it's better for all of us, right? And so when things happen in secret bases or we're not included in the conversation, our interests, our values aren't included in the conversations. We're not prioritized. And so, if this is true, this story is true, it's an exact model of this. This little story, it just really explains everything. Explains how our elites are behaving, how everything happened, how they're behaving, why the government keeps it a secret, what's going on in the world these days. There's all these rumors that these extraterrestrial entities are dictating policy to our government, and you can kind of see that. You kind of see where we're kind of heading. We're heading toward this dystopian technological future where Biden just passed the thing where I don't want to get political, right? Lefty righty,
exopolitical,
interpolitical, but there was just a thing passed where they said that white supremacy is a domestic terrorism thing. And look, I don't care about that stuff, but I know where that's going to go. That's going to go where if you have a difference of opinion, they can come after you, right? And they're creating that. They're working with these with tech to implement these things. The exact thing that we've all been scared of, the Big Brother. Google was known, their policy was, what was it? It was like, don't be the bad guy, don't be evil, because they knew the power that they had. Well, I mean, you only got to be evil. You only got to be evil once. You only got to do it once, and it's just too alluring. And you see, you kind of see where we're kind of heading. And what's that guy's name? What's the guy I talk about a lot? He wrote that book. David Nolan. He talks about that in his book.
Richard Nolan.
Richard Nolan. He talks about this in his book where humanity's...
Dolan. You're killing me. Richard Dolan. There we go.
Jax Murphy. Got it. Richard
Dolan.
I'm terrible with names. Absolutely terrible.
That's okay.
But Richard Dolan...
But I'm here to keep us straight. But sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. You got some notes there.
Yeah.
He talks about in his book that we are of interest now because we are becoming a global society and we have this infrastructure available that we can pivot in a variety of different directions from here on. And another reason, right, to have this conversation out in the open. Look, UFOs are real. We only got to take one more step. We're there. Like, let's just start the conversation now. And let's say it was all BS. There was no aliens. Cool. Well, that's fine. It was placebo, right? Let's say it is true. Let's say these things are happening. How many steps do you think it's going to take? How many more years do you think until you can't do anything about it? Right? That's kind of like what worries me.
That's a good question. I think there's that big movement on on Twitter. They call themselves UFO Twitter, and there's a lot of people out there on Facebook. There's groups and there's Reddit and there's lots of communities that have gotten together and are kind of pushing for this actual disclosure and demanding answers from the government. And I think that's part of this. I think it's important, right? It's important to kind of be able to talk about these things and not fight with each other, for crying out loud. Like it's fine if you're. I mean, clearly nobody knows all the details. So demanding that everybody takes your account of the story as gospel, it doesn't make sense to me. It just seems like more division, right? It's like kind of like what they want us to do, fight with each other over details we couldn't possibly know the answers to. And so as a result, we're not advocates helping the cause, we're enemies and kind of causing destruction here. But let's get back to this real quick. So this whole thing started, this story starts with the Eisenhower meeting, all right? So they whisked him away. They said it was an emergency dental appointment. And then the meeting supposedly took place with extraterrestrials at a place known as Edwards Air Force Base in an empty hangar. And here we go. It depends on the source you find and where, depending on who says what. But this is kind of a general idea of what kind of happened. Although the exact details of the talks are not fully known, it appears that the Nordics were offering to help with technology, medical procedures and advancements, and a break away from fossil fuels for clean energy. However, a deal was not reached and the meeting was abandoned, right? And does that track with what you're talking here? I'm not sure if it's the Nordics that you're referencing, but they tried to make a deal for technology, right? And trying to lose the oil, the petrodollar, the whole deal, and try and give us some sort of renewable, clean, extraterrestrial energy, right? Which, of course, would be fantastic if humanity had something like this because, starvation the world over could be cured like that, like maybe not overnight, but it would be progress in the correct direction. And so, clearly, I think think about it in terms of if you were an actual government meeting with the extraterrestrials, I think the first logical thing to ask for would be technology, right? Like, okay, why don't you give us some of the gizmos, like what kind of stuff can you give to us that we can now maybe fly Tic Tacs in and out of the water or whatever, right? Whatever that happens to be. But okay. So the meeting was said again. They were offering, these alien race, whatever it is, were offering help with technology, medical procedures, and advancements, and a breakaway from the fossil fuels for clean energy. According to the story, this is when a second alien race also made contact with Eisenhower and the leaders of the United States. Unlike the first race, however, they say, so they're using the Greys and the Nordics as the two examples. I think Ash has a different idea here, but I'll say the two different alien races. They managed to make a deal with the second alien race, okay? An abundance of technology given only to the United States in return for access to members of the population, all right? And so enter Dr. David Jacobs, and I think that probably lays some decent groundwork for the people that aren't familiar with the story to kind of continue with your theory there. Ash? Welcome to
Yes.
the show, my friend.
Well, hey, glad to be here. Yeah, so this theory is born from, and I want to give credit to the source. There's a variety of different pieces to the puzzle, like you mentioned, the Dr. David Jacobs. He's a professor at Temple University, and he did regression therapy on hundreds and hundreds of abductees until he kind of found like the ones that weren't crazy and a common story. And he's been trying to figure out for decades what it is. And it's kind of funny because these guys found it out. If you married that data and on all these other little stories with the Farsight group, you get the picture, and it's pretty clear. It's like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. And so Farsight is it's a group led by a man named Courtney Brown, and they have developed their own method for what is called remote viewing. Remote viewing is the ability to gather data and view remotely locations without the limitations of time and space. So that means you can look in the past, you can look in the future, which is it's a little sketch looking in the future. But you can look in the past at any place in the universe, and you're right there. You can also kind of look into people's minds and get a sense of what people are feeling. And so, they do a variety of different projects, like how the pyramids were made and who shot JFK. And I really recommend taking a look. They have a lot of free projects on their website. And then they also kind of have a paid service where you can kind of go in more depth. So this story comes from one of their more recent ones, where they remote viewed all the meetings with extraterrestrials around that period of time. Now, they don't definitively say it was Eisenhower, but they were able to look in at the meetings literally and see like what was going on. And then also kind of read the intent of the extraterrestrials. So it's very similar to that story, where they initially meet with a sort of gray being, maybe some robe figures, basically like potentially, I don't know, Ashtar Galactic Command, I don't know, but it's supposed to be the what do you call it, the Galactic Federation of Worlds, which is more of a democracy sort of oriented culture and collection of extraterrestrials. And in their thing, they didn't get too specific, but they weren't able to come to an agreement. So that's pretty much follows up with what you were saying, and what the story is that they wanted us to probably do good stuff, and we wanted things to blow stuff up, and then they're like, no. And very clearly, okay, so what they do, what this group does, is they hire like a dozen remote viewers. And they don't tell them what it is. They just kind of give them a very light thing, like follow group here at this coordinates. That's like the most they'll ever give anyone. And all these remote viewers came back with meetings with aliens, meetings with aliens, meetings with aliens. So it's pretty trippy. Imagine if you hired 12 people to peep on you, setting off fireworks in your backyard, and 6 of these guys got you shooting off fireworks in your yard. You're going to be like, whoa, okay. So this happens commonly with them. And so in this event, they found that the American government was seeking technology. That's the number one thing they wanted. And they were willing to make a deal almost at any expense for that, except probably disarming or anything, like I said, anything actually good. So they had the meeting with the first extraterrestrials. It didn't go well. And unfortunately, probably one of the most important moments and decisions in history, they decided to have meetings with other extraterrestrial groups. Now, there's 2 more factions that deal with this planet, and they even explored those 2 factions that aren't exactly, they don't like each other. In fact, they hate each other, but they're currently allies because they're powerful enough together to resist other extraterrestrial groups. And that's the Reptilians and the Orions. Now, the Orions, I don't know. I think they're like literally like humans. If you've ever seen, what's that movie? What's that movie with Channing Tatum? And they're in space. Mila Kunis. You know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea.
Ascending Jupiter. Jupiter Ascending? Something like that. That movie is basically about, yeah. So anyway, check out that movie. And I think that basically like a dictator, humanish kind of aliens He used to run this planet. He used to enslave humans, and used to be worshipped as pharaohs. That's that faction. And if you can see in Hollywood that through the cults and like you'll see like a show, and Madonna's doing some Egyptian stuff. It really makes sense that we have this relationship with that group, that culture, and that they sort of rule us, right? And so there's that faction, and then there's the reptilians, and they were willing to give the technology, apparently a whole room full of it, and the government's been trying to reverse engineer it ever since, because they thought if they get the technology, they could just fight them off, right? And then that's it. They just need the tech. But in the aliens' minds, it was trash. It was trinkets. It was garbage. And that they gave them exactly what they wanted, which was access to our genetics. And with Dr. David Jacobs and with the rest of their data, and if you talk to any abductee, it was a genetics program to basically have access to us. And we've earned the right to live here. But viruses and all this stuff, I mean, look at COVID. Can you imagine if COVID, like some alien came down here and caught COVID? It's done, right? Like, it's kind of like a War of the Worlds where they can't live here. Well, if they have access to our DNA and we let them, it is. And they found that literally right after the meeting, okay, meeting's done, all these UFOs show up and they just bombard the planet and they start taking people and abducting. And so potentially the government made a deal with these jerk ETs to abduct you and your family and everyone across the world in exchange for them to get some stuff. And it's a pretty good reason I wouldn't want that to get out if I was the government. Why it's been a secret ever since. And yeah.
Yeah, so if you're just joining us, we're discussing the supposed meeting with President Eisenhower back in 1954. And so now just in brief, just a quick recap. So Eisenhower supposedly met with a few different alien races and was working on a deal of sorts. And they say, even in this article right here from UFO Insight, again, like I said, you guys will have my sources. I got plenty of sources here. I'll throw them out. And if they're bunk, they're bunk, right? It is what it is. But we're kind of discussing the theory as if this stuff was true. And so if Eisenhower met with multiple extraterrestrial races basically in the height of the Cold War, right? So 1947 was just after the end of World War II, and that's when Roswell happened, the initial Roswell crash. And then 1954 is shortly after that, and we're having a meeting with the United States government and some sort of extraterrestrial race, or multiple races even. So the pressure would have been on that if you didn't think of it in terms of this. Now back to the exopolitics for just a second, and then actually even being able to point them to a terrestrial part of geopolitics, meaning that if Eisenhower didn't make a deal, let's say he was like, no, forget it, I'm not comfortable with any of this, then who, of course, if the aliens are looking to broker a deal, who would they go to next, right? So Germany is in ruins. The Axis powers have completely been defeated, and probably the next largest superpower at that point would have been the Soviet Union. And so as a result, right, I think, and it states it in this article as well, that the people that believe this happened say that Eisenhower was actually pressured into making a deal here, because if he knew that if he didn't, they would immediately, the alien factions, whoever they were, would immediately try and make the same deal or a similar deal with the Soviet Union, which of course would have upended everything, because, well, then we have Stalin flying UFOs, right? Or whatever that looks like. So I don't know. That's where we're at tonight, and that's what we're discussing. Like I said, we're agnostic on this. This is not at least I'll speak for myself. I'm agnostic on this, meaning that I don't know. This is in the mythology of UFOs and the cover-ups and all the things that have happened, and it gets kind of kicked around in conspiracy circles. And some say it's a bunch of bogus, and some say this is legit and real and it absolutely happened. But again, it doesn't matter what we think. It matters what you think. In the end, that's all that matters, because we live in a world with this hyper reality, right? Where sometimes it's difficult anymore in the world of mass media media to tell the difference between fact and fiction when we're just bombarded with these things constantly. And I think it might be part of the plan to kind of the disinformation campaigns to maybe throw us off trails like this. If you sprinkle some truth in there and then say a bunch of other BS, it makes it really difficult to figure out what the hell happened, right? So anyway, there's kind of the recap and where we're at, but we got a couple minutes before break, so let's wind it down and load up for the next one. Ash, go ahead, sir.
No, I mean, that's a good point. You can try and cover up the secret, right? But it's tough because it'll eventually get out. And these rumors got out. But it's better to just kind of let it get out and just flood it with more secrets and junk so people don't know what's real and what isn't. And that's been pretty effective. And I would say in these times especially, it's even worse, right? It's so nuts. You gotta fact check the fact checker, the fact check, right? I see a fact checker literally hanging out with George Soros, and I'm like, probably not gonna really take that.
They hire the fact checkers. They hire them to like it's like when you hire a Monsanto to do some chemical analysis of your seeds. It's like, oh, all right, yeah, okay, all right. I'm sure it's legit. Go with it.
Oh yeah, no, it's like hiring a person to investigate the Wuhan source from someone who has a stake at Wuhan or something. I think it was something like that. It was something ridiculous. Like someone who would want to cover it up was hired to cover it up. Same thing with JFK, right? When JFK was assassinated, the people who want to cover it up also did the investigation, which is great plan, great idea. So anyway, we're talking about did our government sell us out to the aliens? Is that what's going on? I mean, it was over 70 years ago, guys. It was crazy. And so if they met with aliens, why haven't we talked about it now? Are we in a bad situation? But maybe it's not. Maybe we are, but maybe it's not done yet. Maybe there's a chance, right? And so I think we need to be brave and have these speculative conversations, especially since UFOs are real. So we do have we're out in left field, but we're not as far out in left field as we used to be, right? So again, I'm not 100% sold on this, but man, it sounds right to me. So. But it's not about me, right? This is about you. This is about a conversation for you. So, what do you guys think? Why don't you call in? We're gonna go into it some more. We got a little more. We got some more detail here. We'll dive in. We'll explore. But yeah, what do you think? Give us a call. Tune in.
And the phone number to give us a call is 702-957-1037. 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. We're here with our friend Ash, and we're talking about the possibility that in 1954, President Eisenhower made a deal with an extraterrestrial race. Hogwash? Legit? Somewhere in between. You tell us. Looking to hear from you. And we'll continue this conversation after the break. Don't go anywhere. Secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and I am here with your co-host, Ash, the reptilian from Mars. And hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This show is about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. This show is live. This show is always live, and we're taking your phone calls. We're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and D-Live. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. If you want to be part of the show, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. It's the official website for this show. And click the Discord link. It'll give you a direct invite. Also, please join the Fringe FM chat. The Discord for there. You just go to fringe.fm/chat, and that will put you right in the chat room. Easy as that. Same program, and a couple different groups of really smart people that like to discuss these things, like to free our minds and basically discuss possibilities, meaning that we like to drink the maybe juice. That's what we call it. That's a term we use on this show. And the maybe juice means that we suspend our disbelief for a moment and consider that these things are possible. And if so, then kind of take the conversation from there. So that's what we're on to tonight. That's what we're up to. And we're talking about the Eisenhower meeting with extraterrestrials in 1954. So there we go. That's what's up. And I know Ash was stepped away for a sec. I don't know if he's back, but whenever he gets back, we'll tune into Mars. Earth to Mars? Earth to Mars? No problem. If you're not there. All right, cool. So we'll get a phone call. Let's go to, we are taking your calls, and that's what we're talking about. Eisenhower, the meeting with the aliens. If that's true, what also went down as part of that? So let's go to Mr. Mission Control. You're on a Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Go right ahead, sir. What's on your mind?
You gotta be clear on audio. There's no whistling noise, is there?
No, you're good. You sound fine. Go right ahead, sir.
Okay. I just want to ascertain that I think Ash is definitely onto something the past two nights. I haven't really. I really don't have the time to go over everybody's work on YouTube. There's so many people that are interesting, but I tell him I will tune into his channel more. I did subscribe and look over it and watched a couple things, but I think, there are very many of us that have these hunches and premonitions or remote views, if you call it that, about things that are happening or have been happening in our lifetime. Us that are around 30 to 40 to 50, even up in the 60s. Well, these World War II guys, in fact, my grandpa, they knew what was going on, and they wouldn't talk about it. They would not talk about it. Getting stuff out of my grandpa was like squeezing a dried lemon, for water. It wasn't happening unless you got in the right situation, Well, these guys didn't divulge much. Now, there's typical storytellers like myself, just go on and on forever. But I think Ash is really onto something, especially last night when he said that we are in like a backwoods, so remote, or it's like the local population, they don't recognize us as being a threat at all. And I think he's correct. We are not a threat. I think when everyone wakes up to what's really going on, what I think is really going on, what Ash thinks is going on, there's going to be mass panic because there's nothing you can do about it. When people can't do something about something, certain individuals lose it, dude. Lose it.
Yeah, so, okay.
Start doing anything from
Gotcha. Gotcha. We don't have to say it. Implied. All right. So,
okay.
So hold on though. So what do you mean? Are you saying that you believe that the extraterrestrials are in charge? This meeting did happen, and there was a deal made with an extraterrestrial race. Is that what you're saying?
I believe so, and there's something that they couldn't do anything to us before, like when they say the devil or demons need your permission, or vampires need your permission to come into your house. You heard that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, there's something to that, dude. There's something to that. that there's something about humans in particular that, like, animals hunt each other, right? Well, we can't get hunted unless we give some sort of lead or permission or entice someone some certain way. And we entice, like females entice men entice females all the time without even knowing it, you know. But to do this to an extraterrestrial or an intraterrestrial, as I think they are, I think they've been here forever. But, you know, like I said, I don't think they had permission. And the only permission they have now is to tamper with our DNA. What if they made another deal with them? What with this whole COVID vaccine thing? I call it a vaccine, so the algorithm can't quote me on that. But
I got you.
You know, and I've come to find out that magnetic nanoparticles. The other day, that video that lady came out. Well, I did research on it. I got three videos on it up just this week on the magnetic nanoparticle research I did. And you guys go and check out that one. It's called Polymar or Polymag, and Chemicell company makes Polymag, and the Polymag is what's in the vaccine, magnetic nanoparticles, dude. And yeah, that's what the magnet challenge is. If you got the vaccine and you stick a magnet to yourself, you got magnetic nanoparticles in you.
Gotcha. I've seen that. I don't know. Like, I haven't looked into it myself. I've heard both sides.
I pulled all the white papers and all the evidence, and it's all there, dude, in my video. And
okay.
YouTube can't pull it down because it's within the community guidelines.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Cool. So again, we don't have time to continue on that track because we're talking about something else. But I appreciate the call. Please follow Mr. Mission Control, guys, on YouTube. That's what he's talking about. And thanks for participating, my man. Thanks for the call. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, bro. Have a good night. There you go. Good stuff. Good call from Mr. Mission Control. And we're looking to hear from you as well. I know you heard some of that, Ash, so go ahead and respond after I read the phone number here. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. When you give us a call, we just put you on the show. We don't screen calls or any of the rest of that. So good stuff. Fantastic first call. Appreciate that. And let's get some more, guys. What do you think about this alien meeting with Eisenhower? And do you think that a deal was made for our DNA or for allowing us to be abducted and experimented on? Who knows? But go ahead and respond to that call, Ash. Pretty good stuff. He said he thinks you're on some stuff. You're onto it, man.
Yeah. Since he said, hey, I think this Ash guy's got something, I'm going to say, I think that guy's got something. I think that he's right about me being right. No, honestly, it was a great call. I actually liked the way he spoke. It's very comforting or something. Like, I don't know what it is. It's like the way he spoke. I'm a big fan. But you made a really good point. Is if it happened before, why is it happening now? Or like that is a very good point. The timeline, right? And I actually was just about to kind of get into that a little bit about that with the timeline, where based on my research and what I see, there's these two factions that have that are not, look, the remote viewers said this too. They're not quite negative. They're like us, but like our government is negative, right? So it's kind of like that. It's like, would you want, if you were an alien planet, would you want the American government to freaking come there and cut a deal with you? You know what I mean? With your leaders? No. So it's the same thing, right? It's like sociopaths of all races. So the Orions, these are the two factions that supposedly cut a deal with Eisenhower, and this is based on the remote viewing data, which I really recommend you take a look. You go through, you soak in a bunch of episodes. They're called Farsight, farsight.org. Farsight Prime, just type Farsight into YouTube. Watch some of their stuff. I mean, they've predicted the future. It's some really nutty stuff, and you absorb it all. I mean, they're either making stuff up like crazy intentionally, or this is potentially a secret power of the soul that everyone has, which has its own ramifications. And I think we should do a really deep dive episode. I am working on a my own episode for that. And this Sunday, I actually picked a target for Bunny's audience, and we're going to do a reveal, and then we're going to kind of go review remote viewing and kind of get in a little bit more deep. Last Sunday, I did an episode, me in my reptilian form. I'm literally, you should go watch it. It's the Bunny channel, remote viewing, Ash the Reptilian. I'm literally a reptilian. I'm a VTuber, so check that out. So anyway, is that how much time we have left?
No. You're good. You're good. Continue, sir. Carry on.
Oh, okay.
We got plenty of time.
Okay, cool. You sent me a secret number. I was like, oh, is it a code?
It's code. It's
so,
code. Yeah, if you get locked out, just say that number and you'll get let right back in.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
All right.
I always wondered if you like say the right thing, like aliens come and just grab you. Like, if you just say the right thing, it's like, oh, there it is. Okay, so here's my proposed timeline, guys. Okay, here we're still speculating, all right? But this is based on my research. The Orions and the Reptilians used to openly rule on this planet. They used to just mess with this planet. And that at some point, a third faction, probably the Galactic Federation of Worlds, said, cut it out. You can't do that anymore. And now there are rules. There are laws. Right? And that just like any nation or anything, it changes over time, and laws and policy changes, right? So these factions used to rule us and abuse us. The Orions were somewhat of the Egyptians, the pharaohs, maybe even Atlantis. And I'm not saying it's all negative. I'm just saying that we were definitely lower in the tier chart of them, of the hierarchy. And the Reptilians supposedly are through the church, right? The Catholic Church. That's like a big common supposed that they latched on to the Catholic Church, and that they ruled for a while, and that maybe potentially the Galactic Federation of Worlds cut them off, drove them out, set up rules, and they've been waiting in proxy ever since. And that when we started nuking, we basically opened the door for conversation where the extraterrestrials made sure they got our attention and they scheduled meetings. But that maybe nuking or destroying ourselves, it facilitated kind of like the Star Trek, what's it called, when you reach fast and light travel, now you are open, you're fair game. So the extraterrestrials come here and they immediately are prepared to strike a deal. Potentially for 1,000 years, they've been waiting to strike this deal. They strike the deal. The government negotiates with them. They leave the door wide open, and they just come in here, and they've been running amok ever since. There's all these rumors. So we have all these underground bases, and if you go all the way to the bottom of the bases, there's aliens down there doing experiments and all kinds of stuff. Behold a Pale Horse talks about this. Bill Cooper, who was killed, which, if someone's killed, it kind of validates what they were saying to me. And that basically it's same thing he was saying, which is the same thing David Icke is saying, which is the same thing that Tom DeLonge is saying, which is the same. It's literally the same thing, guys. It's all the same stuff. There's all these different alien factions, and there's a bunch of them that are kind of jerks, and they're willing to make deals with our government, and our government is stupid and just gets played. What is their end goal? It seems to have these human hybrids that retain their psychic, whatever that is, faculties, and then probably control this planet. Supposedly, we've remote viewed other planets where similar control structures are in place. And one last thing to throw in there. I don't like to stay on that topic, but so reptilians supposedly enjoy the kill. They consume humans, and so I hate getting into it, but there's millions of children that go missing every year, and maybe that's part of the requirement. And if you look at the old Egyptian pharaohs, like in Stargate, they have a bunch of like young boys around them. And maybe like these beings are somewhat human, but have found a way to live for a long time off other sources of maybe off humans. And that both these factions, the Orions and Reptilians, they look at us as sort of a resource, literally. So I mean, it's really dark stuff, and I don't want to stay on it, but it's potential, and it's another reason, another 5 reasons why the government wouldn't want to talk about it if they made a deal with these kind of dudes. And these aliens wouldn't want disclosure to happen. So there you go. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, so again, we're here talking about the meeting with Eisenhower and the aliens, and if some treaty was actually agreed upon, some have speculated that it's regarding experimentation on people, on our genetics, on things like this, allowing a particular amount of abductions per year, type of thing, or who knows, right? Like these are the types of terms that have been discussed as part of that deal that went down. And like I said, drinking a healthy dose of the maybe juice here, and we're running with it, assuming it's true, right? And like I said, the only thing that we can really derive as the truth here is there's a cover-up in some capacity. How deep this goes, it's impossible to tell, because the government has ducked and dodged and dived and weaved and done all those things, right? Like the dodgeball, whatever that quote is. I messed it up, I'm sure, but like it's definitely that they're being evasive about all of this. And so even now, even with the 60 180 day UFO report, the 6-month thing that's due at the end of June, and this disclosure movement, it still seems like there's a hefty dose of cover up here. And again, we'll see when that comes out. But I mean, I don't know. I think in the end, people asking questions about this stuff is good, and so that's kind of what we're here doing. Maybe assuming that meeting happened, and if so, what would be the implications? Of course, like Dr. Michael Salla says, he calls it exopolitics, and I know a lot of people laugh at him and his credibility and whatever. Right? It's fine. Like I said, the sources are the sources. You make up your mind. You decide. Some people like Corey Goode. Some people like John Greenwald Jr. And there are opposite sides of the spectrum, right? Like, you decide. I'm not going to tell you who to like and who not to like. But the point is that if this is an exopolitic type situation and these deals have been made, Ash has a good point here that there's tons of people that go missing every year. And if you look at the work of, again, back to, I've got his website up here. I'll link this in a sec here. But Dr. David Jacobs, he's actually got a website called UFOabduction.com. He's done a ton of work regarding this. He's actually gone into, done these regressions, and he's got a ton of data from the past 20 plus years where he's described alien abductions, right? And people that have actually been part of these things in a wide scale. And so his idea, which basically, again, whether you think the guy's credible or not, he's literally out there doing scientific work, right? Some people will, roll your eyes and say whatever, but this is what he's been doing. This is the type of stuff that he's been working on for a long time now. And UFOabduction.com, that's Dr. David Jacobs. And so he's basically determined over the past 20 plus years of interviewing people that have had abduction experiences, alien abduction experiences, that there's a nefarious plot by the extraterrestrials, and they're coming after us, right? In some way, somehow, they're coming after us, and whether that's allowed or not, Mr. Mission Control said he doesn't think it's allowed. He thinks that they've kind of gone off the track, and they're just doing what they want now. So who knows, right? I guess it depends on the sources and who you ask, and the remote viewing and all the rest of this. We got a phone call coming in, which we'll take in a sec. But any comment on that, Ash?
No, it's good. Yeah.
Good stuff.
I agree. I agree with everything you said.
All right.
Yeah, it's like again, we're speculating, right? And we're filling in the blanks, but I'm telling you, this narrative fills in all the freaking blanks, man. It's like, think of any conspiracy, like it fits in there, Bigfoot, throw Bigfoot in there. He who knows what Bigfoot, I guess it doesn't really connect, but it could still work. But it really covers a lot of bases and explains a lot of things. And again, at the end of the day, we just need to have this conversation. And that's what the Farsight guys, they've done lots of projects and lots of remote viewings, and that's the conclusion they've come to, is that disclosure just needs to happen, guys. We just need to push disclosure. I think we need to see some reptilians up on stage. Hey, we're the good guys, just like you guys, and then be like, okay. So as soon as like a reptilian shows up on TV, that's it. I think that's like the moment we need, and I think we just need to have these conversations. We need to keep pushing, You know, we need to compartmentalize the crazy theories. This is not crazy, actually. If you really logically think it out, it's not crazy. But the more abrasive theories, you can compartmentalize this. You can entertain this theory and not be a lunatic, right? And you don't see any of this in your everyday life. So you can be like, okay, have this running theory in your head, but also, you know, be in the real world where UFOs are real. Like, we are very close. We're not very far. Those things are not actually very far from each other. So anyway, let's go to the call on good stuff.
We're actually Beechwood. Hang tight. We got a break coming up, so I don't want to cut you off. So we'll go to Beechwood right after the break. Okay. I know you can hear me out there. So just hang tight. We'll get to you as soon as we finish this up. I don't want to start you and then stop you and restart you. So we'll come to you right after the break. But okay. So point being, that's what we're talking about tonight. If you're just joining us, I know people come in and out of the radio thing, and listen in kind of pieces as they're cooking dinner or working in the garage or whatever it is you're doing. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about the possibility that Eisenhower made a deal with the aliens, right? It's some sort of alien race. I've got some sources I've linked up here if you guys want to read more about this. And as you know, we on this show we drink the maybe juice, meaning that we speculate as if this stuff happened, and kind of go down that conspiracy rabbit hole of, okay, if this happened, then what are the implications of that? And the implications here of making a deal with an extraterrestrial race of let's say, technology for genetics, human genetics or experimentation or the ability to abduct people, which is the implication here of what some of these sources are saying. I think it's disturbing. It's a disturbing thing that we're, trading people like they're cattle. Right. I think that's once you start, and then I guess we can go from there. I mean, since I said cattle mutilations, I mean, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole tonight, but you see what I'm saying, right? You start treating people like cattle and trading them, and it becomes kind of a dark thing, right? So this time you drink the maybe juice, and I think after maybe the first sip, it turns a little bit sour because many people want to hear that the aliens are here and they're benevolent and they're going to save us and they're bringing good technology and all the rest of this. But I don't know. I'm not so sure about all this. So anyway, in any case, if you're listening and you want to be part of the show, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. I'm here with Ash the Reptilian from Mars, and we're discussing the possibilities of this meeting between Eisenhower and a treaty with the aliens. What do you guys think? You want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link, get in here. Let's talk aliens and speculation and what all of this possibly means. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here with your co-host, Ash, the Reptilian from Mars. And we are streaming on Facebook, DLive, and YouTube. And we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight. We are discussing the supposed treaty between Eisenhower and an alien race. Mythology, folklore, fiction, hogwash, somewhere in between. Looking to hear from you if you want to be part of the show tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we've got a phone call on deck. Let's go to Ash first, and then we'll go straight to the phone call. Ash, welcome back, Earth to Mars. Tune in, Mars.
I'm here.
All right.
I'm here, humans. Do not fret. I will rule, and you will not have to make any decisions.
Nice.
Just let me slide in those human DMs and just take your mind and take over.
Yeah, the brainwashed DM going on. All right, so anything to add to that? Add to the questions, or we got Beechwood on the phone. I'll let you decide.
Yeah, we're talking about has our government made incompetent decisions behind the scenes Fact. But have they made those incompetent decisions with extraterrestrials? Do they have agreements? Do they have these things? We talked about this narrative that they did, and they exchanged people for technology, and ever since, who knows what kind of relationship they've had, and it's been at the detriment of us, the people. And that's kind of what we're talking about right now, right? And maybe that's we're taking the maybe juice. Maybe that's what's going on. So let's go to Beechwood. Let's see what he thinks, right? We want to hear what you guys think. Are we stupid? Are we stupid or what? What do you guys think? So let's hear what Beechwood has to say.
That way. But okay, let's go to Beechwood.
You stupid or what? Come on.
Let's go to Beechwood in Massachusetts. What's up, my friend? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Ash. How are you?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing awesome. It's a good show. I liked Ash's point about the technology that they may be trading us could just be, junk to them, trinkets. But the point I wanted to point out that if there was a meeting and there was a deal, then it shows that the human race has some sort of significance to them, or is can pose a threat, or is, equal to them. Because if it wasn't, then there just wouldn't be a deal. Like, when we look at, things that we harvest, animals and stuff we raise, we don't make deals with them. We just do it. So the fact that there was communication and they want to make a deal, it shows that we, have a dog in the fight, if you want to say, not just insignificant as far as what they want. It could be anything. It depends on the situation. But I noticed, human beings, have you ever noticed the extent we go to for things that are considered like delicacies? Like we go, things that are rare and expensive, like food. We go to extreme lengths for stuff like that. It could be something as simple as that. There could be something here that they like, and or it may not be.
Like
we don't know. Is it like going to the grocery store for them?
This is too good.
Wait. Actual politics involved.
So you're saying it's possible that humans are a galactic delicacy of sorts? Is what you're saying? I love it, man. I love it.
We have a lot of emotion. We, in our genetics, we have all this emotion and this drive, and we seek satisfaction. And it just naturally feels good. We describe things as feeling good and bad. Maybe that could be desired. Maybe instead of having that sense, they have telepathy, a different sense. And but it's still a 5-sense reality. But just something like that. But just the fact that if there was communication, it means that we're not just we have a chance, or we mean something. But that's all I really had about that. I've heard the Eisenhower story. It's a good story. A lot of weird stuff has happened at the White House, though. I think there's tunnels under there. But that's it, man. Good show.
Appreciate it, man. So you think, what do you think the possibility is that this is true, the Eisenhower story?
I'm going to have to go 50-50 like a lot of stuff on it. I honestly don't know enough about it, but I think there's a good possibility that I know a lot of people think this theory that all the presidents were aliens or reptilians. The reptilian one is the one that seems to stick in the public, and now there's Facebook has a lot of things with the Pleiadians, Achurians, Lyrians, cat people that use litter boxes and stuff. I don't know. I don't know.
I'll take 50-50 as a legit answer, man. You don't know. It means let's see some more evidence before we can fully decide. I like that. I like that you're open to more, and I appreciate the call, my friend. This is Beechwood from Massachusetts. Have a fantastic night.
You too, man. Talk to you later.
Thanks, bro. Talk to you soon. There we go. Takes on that, Ash. What about the intergalactic delicacy? I thought that was a great point. maybe that's what we are.
Yeah, I mean, so man, that's such a dark subject, but you kind of almost feel it in your bones. It's like maybe we are tasty. I don't know, but but like eating and all that kind of stuff is a part of like life down here. You know, it's just a normal part of life, so it's not really too far fetched to say something like that. It might be the case. So maybe we are. You know, as a reptilian myself, I prefer a little human sometimes, you know. So it could be pretty scrumptious. But yeah, good point. Like why even have the meeting? And so in a previous remote viewing, they saw that extraterrestrials influenced humans to build pyramids, right? And that at some point another extraterrestrial group came in and just blew the crap out of the whole site and basically stopped it. So potentially maybe there was a lawlessness. Maybe there's laws, galactic law of what you can and can't do. And there's competing extraterrestrial groups. When they remote viewed the extraterrestrial groups, all the extraterrestrial groups were telling humans not to meet with the other extraterrestrial groups. They're like, hey man, like we can figure something out, but just don't meet with those guys. And then they're like, oh, don't meet with those guys, you know? So yeah, maybe there's some sort of like fairness clause or whatever where you know, they're trying to establish a long-term relationship. And I imagine territory and all this stuff is huge. But, you know, at the end of the day, we don't know because, like, we're kept out of these conversations. We're kept out of this knowledge. We wouldn't know. And maybe our presidents didn't really know either. And so when they made these deals, they, like, were stupid, right? They basically didn't have the information they need to make the deals. But that is a good point. It is interesting to even make a deal, right? If they're that powerful and that strong, why even make a deal? Another reason is maybe, like you said, delicacy. Maybe there's a whole workforce, a whole planet of potential resources. And I don't just mean like yum, yum, yum. I just mean like them building stuff and doing things. You know, they could just come here and live a Westworld life, like an awesome life. Maybe being a human is fun, like because we have a lot of emotions. A lot of these extraterrestrials supposedly don't have emotions. There was a comment in the chat that said that these hybrids that they make are autistic, meaning they're just more logical and they lack the social skills because it's not really a priority, or maybe that's kind of what the hybridization result is. They even, with a comment, went to say that Elon Musk said he has Asperger's, thus basically declaring that he is a hybrid. I don't know about that, but I'm not against it. I just don't know. But yeah, I'm sorry that maybe being humans are very emotional. It's like unique, right? It's inefficient in the grand scheme of getting things done, but maybe it's enjoyable. Imagine just being a computer. Being a computer sucks, you know? But like eating a cheeseburger is awesome. But it's also stupid, right? So right. I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's just so much we don't know. And it's been 70 years, and again, just coming back to this, and we're not a part of the conversation. So like, how could we know? We don't know. It's kind of dumb, and we really need to kind of stick together, not get divided, lefty righty. We need to stick together on this, okay, guys? I'm your homie. We're homies. Let's get this stuff out, because at the end of the day, we're humans, and apparently we're delicious. So we need to stick together.
There we go. So this is from strange.com, which seems to be a fantastic website because I love the name. And this is again kind of recapping what we're talking about tonight. And they're calling this the 1954 Greada Treaty, Greada. And President Eisenhower formed a treaty with the aliens at Holloman Air Force Base. And here's just a quick recap. On the 1984 Greada Treaty, the Eisenhower Eisenhower administration bypasses the U.S. Constitution to form a pact with alien races. In exchange for advanced technology, the aliens would be allowed to do experiments on livestock, minerals, and small groups of humans. With elements that would inspire the X-Files TV series, the likely event has to play with the imaginations of thousands of people. I think more than that, probably millions of people. But so I didn't know it had a name, but this website, strange.com, like I said, that's amazing. If you're going to do a domain name, you may as well do it right. And strange.com says it all. But you ever heard of the Greada Treaty? That's the first time I was kind of looking tonight, as before we started, and looking to see what this treaty was, and the trading, like they said, Earth resources, possibly cattle and humans for technology of sorts. But Greada Treaty, never heard that before. Interesting anyway. But that's what we're talking about. If you guys have a take on that, if you think it's BS, that's fine. We're here asking these questions and drinking the maybe juice. That's what we do here. And as I like to call it, it's a little bit of a conspiracy speculation theater. Drink some maybe juice and kind of go down these rabbit holes and discuss them as if they would be true. And including this Eisenhower meeting, if it is, it's a little bit terrifying because we have these other groups like again, Dr. David Jacobs, that spent a ton of time with people that have been abducted and doing regressions, and he has evidence that seems to corroborate based on one abduction to the other, and these people don't know each other at all. So that kind of makes you nervous when guys like that are saying that there's an agenda, and it's not a good one. And that's what we're looking at here is, what do you think about this? If you want to be part of the show, we're taking your phone calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. If you don't like the long distance, because that is a Las Vegas area code, you can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org and join the show on Discord. That's how Ash and I are doing the show right now. We're on Discord, as a matter of fact. So you can also be on the show that way. International folks, if you don't like the long distance, Discord is completely free. But okay, so anything to add to that? So the treaty, technology, maybe allowing the alien presence to abduct people, or do you think, as Mr. Mission Control said, maybe the deal didn't include that and they're doing it anyway? What do you think about that?
I think that if we're dealing with it's like an advanced extraterrestrial species, I think that they're going to have the high ground, Anakin. It's just, so I think that whatever deal we made, we've been outmatched, outpaced, outnegotiated, and outmaneuvered. And, without having everyone in on the conversation to keep things accountable, who knows how bad it's gotten. And that's kind of like the thing. Again, we need to have these conversations, and based on the COVID response and all that stuff and the nonsense, maybe they didn't trust the public, and maybe they still don't, or maybe they're just covering their tracks. But it's definitely possible that it's not good. Talk to me, Mike. What did Tom DeLonge and them say? Like that, we had that. Remember that show where we had that long Reddit post about what they were saying, but they were basically saying in so many words that they're in a cold war with these others, with these beings, which would align with this kind of narrative that we're talking about. So this cold war we're in is where they're trying to maneuver around these beings, which would, again, it corroborates this story, meaning that they screwed up and then they've been trying to kind of recover ever since their footing. How does that kind of play? How does that make sense in this narrative?
I think that so Tom DeLonge said an awful lot of things, right? And said that he had a couple things in particular that caught my attention, saying that the thing that brought the aliens here and why 1947 and on was so hot with UFOs since then, and not really previously, was the whole nuclear situation. We dropped the A-bombs in Japan there, and all the tests in the different places we were testing, of course, here in just outside of Vegas. Famously in the 50s, people used to come out here and watch the nuclear tests going on outside of the city, from inside of the city. How safe is that, right? But I mean, he was saying things like those the nukes that were going off were knocking down UFOs from, kind of through that interdimensional space. Like the nukes were somehow able to affect them, whereas they were kind of phased into a different reality, and so they weren't able to be touched other than that. And so that's what attracted their attention, and we started accidentally knocking them out of the sky, because apparently, according to him, they're all over the place, like literally everywhere, and we just can't see them most times. And so you start nuclear testing, and so you start knocking some UFOs out of the sky there, and that kind of accounts for some of the crashes that started happening, according to him, according to Tom DeLonge. I don't know. Like I said, now there's some interesting things he said, but I also don't know. It seems like he subscribes to a lot of the UFO mythology as it's a lot of it's a fact. And so, I don't know. Nobody's right about everything, so I don't want to crap on the guy too much. But he did have a lot to say regarding exactly what you mentioned there, that there's some sort of Cold War situation happening between the alien race and us somehow, and that they are trying to, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were trying to achieve something from us, and we're trying to get something from them. And I think you're right. He did call them the others, right? Which is just bizarre as hell.
Yeah, that, you would say others if there was multiple, right? If you would just say like them or whatever, others is a perfect umbrella for this narrative. If there's Orions and there's reptilians, and I've heard both of those things independent of this, that we have meetings with aliens that look like us. Some interesting notes. So hold on, I literally have some notes. I suspect that there are different factions and governments working with different extraterrestrial groups. And you see that, a lot of our politicians, you'll see they're kind of like NASCAR drivers. They'll wear like brooches and earrings and rings. And, there's like a blood ring that a lot of a certain faction would wear. And maybe they're in different cahoots with different extraterrestrials, because if an extraterrestrial presences are here, they're going to be pretty strong presence, right? Like if you ally with a third party alien faction and they're giving you stuff or helping you along, you're going to get a lot of stuff, right? So you see Hollywood, MK Ultra, all this kind of crazy stuff that you hear about could be symptoms of the same thing, where there's kind of like a Cold War that all these different extraterrestrials and our government are kind of having on this planet. Now, the Farsight did say that the Galactic Federation's of worlds, their forces, their army, military forces are not here, but they do have people here. And I think that the last 4 years with the Trump craziness and all that stuff, I think that was an exopolitical thing. I think that there was exopolitics involved in that, because you saw all these different kind of things popping up and then clamping down, and then these politicians supporting this person or doing this thing. And I think that there was there's a proxy war going on. It's a Cold War. It's the UFOs haven't started showing up and shooting each other and whatever yet. They're kind of trying to do it legally or politically. There's got to be galactic law, otherwise it would just be we'd all be dead. Right? There's got to be a rule or something.
Yeah,
or we'd all be dead.
You would hope so. And I think maybe that's part of it, is that if again, like I said, we're drinking the maybe juice tonight heavily, which is apparently this color. In the stream, if you're watching the stream, that's the maybe juice color, which looks suspiciously like whiskey. but anyway,
looks good.
It is. Yeah. It's delicious. But okay. But
wait, weird. I have some of that too. That's crazy. Nice. Oh, okay.
They do that.
Yeah, I'm pretty deep in the maybe juice. Like if you haven't been listening.
Nice.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you got to expect that if an alien race is here trying to do some sort of treaty with humans, you got to expect that there's some sort of maybe a hierarchy out there in the cosmos as well, right? Meaning that there's been agreements achieved before. And I know it sounds very, very out there, very Star Trek, very like not the universe we're told we live in, but it is a wide world after all, as they say. And of course, you take that to a universal scale, and there could be a ton of things happening that we have no idea. I mean, you got to consider that, of course, all the basic stuff that aliens, the technology they would have. I think it would be. I mean, we can basically cloak things now here, right? I mean, we have cloaking technology here. It's not ubiquitous yet. I mean, you can't just turn on the cloaking device on your Tesla yet and just make it, the color of the road type thing. But I mean, it's coming. Like, we're close to that probably in the next 100 years of it becoming like a technology everybody has. So if we have that now, I have no doubt they can fly around with impunity, making no sound, being invisible as they want. And so that kind of begs the question, and some other questions, where we're headed with this, because it means that if we see UFOs and they are of alien origin, let's say, they are showing themselves to us, right? So we got like a minute left. So let's finish this up. Your thoughts on the end of this and where this is headed, Ash?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm like you. I'm in the dark, right? We don't really know. Our government doesn't think, for whatever reason, thinks that we should be included on this conversation and have these conversations. But we can do that here on Troubled Minds. I'm your co-host for tonight. I'm Ash, Reptilian from Mars. I'm here every Wednesday, and usually I try to talk about aliens. So if you like to talk this conversation, tune in on Wednesdays where we talk about things like, like tonight's topic. Did our government sell us out to aliens, right? Are there these conversations? And as the media picks up more on UFOs and kind of stuff like that, we've seen a tremendous uptick, and I think that this is only going to continue. So if you're here now, you're early on that hot fire conversation, man. It's cool now, okay, guys. It's not crazy. It's not weird. It's cool. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys listening to me. Again, I'm Ash Reptilian from Mars. I have my own YouTube channel. Check me out. I like to hop on Bunny's channel. You can check her out in the Discord and my link, and I'll be there this Sunday in my live Reptilian Forum. You can also see me in my Reptilian Forum on my YouTube channel, and I talk about aliens and remote viewings and pyramids, kind of like tonight. So if you like tonight's topic, you'll like my YouTube channel.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. And that goes for the rest of us. So this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. I'm here with Ash the Reptilian from Mars. We do this show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Come say hi. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., we'll be doing it again on DLive, Facebook, YouTube, and the Fringe FM. At the end of it, if you're listening on Fringe, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening on DLive, YouTube, or Facebook, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thanks for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. All right, so as you heard, we got one more hour coming up. We are now off of the Fringe FM, which is a digital radio station, and we have one more hour. And this is when things usually get a little freaky because, well, the maybe juice has kicked in, and so maybe becomes probably, and and we start laughing at ourselves quite a bit. So 2-minute break, quick 2-minute break, and we have a third hour with Ash and myself. This is Troubled Minds, and we're still talking about the Eisenhower thing, the treaties. What do you guys think about this? Again, like, I don't know. Like, to me, like, I want to see more evidence. I want to see some of this, some of these secret documents that probably exist, right, at some point, and I just don't know. So we'll talk about it. Like I said, like we're drinking maybe juice, and we'll. I think to consider things fully, you have to be able to consider them as true to really kind of get to the bottom of things. At least take them down the let's say experimental trail in your brain, right? And so if you like draw the line and say nope, that could never be true, you could be missing considerations that's, well, could be frightening. It could be world changing. So that's kind of what we do here. Anything to add real quick before we take a quick break there, Ash? 2-minute break coming up, guys. And one more hour of Troubled Minds.
No, I can say fuck now, right?
Yeah. You could also start cursing because we're off the radio now. So there you go.
Yeah,
do that.
That's the most important thing to me. That's all. And that's it.
All right.
That's all I got to add.
2-minute break. We will be right back. Top off your maybe juice, hit the restroom, put the kids to bed, grab some popcorn. We will be right back with more Troubled Minds and more maybe juice conversation. Be right back. All right. Who's ready for hour 3? Who's ready for the third hour of Troubled Minds when we get crazy? This is when shit goes off the rails and we get crazy. All right. Well, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. We're here with Ash, the reptilian from Mars, and we're talking about all the things that we're not supposed to talk about. You know what that is: aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, etc. And I'll spare you the details because I said them twice already tonight. But you get the point. You drink some maybe juice. You think about the things that are kind of dismissed as mythology or folklore, and what if they're true? If they're true, the implications are enormous. And that's really what we're talking about tonight, as what we talk about many times. Many times. What's up? There you go. Woo woo is an actual cocktail, says Hell in the Hell 21 in the chat there. I've never heard of it.
Nice.
Woo woo, an actual cocktail. Cheers, guys. I see you out there in the chat. We'll say hi to the chat in a sec. Welcome back, Ash. I see you there. Did you get your human snack or whatever you're chowing on up there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a snack.
It's a snack. It's just a snack.
Yeah, it's just a poisonous snack
Galactic
running
delicacy.
through my blood. Yeah. Galactic delicacy. Got a human skull right here, just doing shots out of it. God.
Yes, sir. So we got a couple calls here. Go ahead.
Oh, we do? Oh, okay. See, I knew. People are scared of the air, man. People don't have self-control like myself. They're scared. You know, I don't trust myself, you know. So all the people calling right now don't trust themselves to not say curse words.
Exactly. Right? Like, I appreciate you guys being at least being helping the show, because if we curse on the radio, right, it doesn't help our bid to become the radio gods of the world. So I appreciate that. So we got Kelly here, we got Jay on deck. We're looking to talk to you guys tonight.
Nice,
if you want to, say it again?
Oh, I just said nice. Nice.
702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord, join the conversation that way. Phone line's up, Discord's up, and we're kicking it. So shall we hear what Kelly has to say about this? Kelly, are you there?
Yeah, bring him in, man. I've kind of said my piece. There's a lot of little things, like the reptilian in the meeting was wearing a human face, stuff like that I think that we should, like, there's little details that when the Farsight remote view stuff, it's like, what the heck? And there's implications to all of it. So, but yeah, we can talk about that, but let's hear what these guys have to say. Well, let me see. They're probably like, oh man, these guys are crazy. Let's hear it.
There we go. What's up, Kelly? Earth and Mars to Kelly. Are you there? Testing 1 2. He jumped in the chat. He's muted though, so unmute yourself and you should be good because we can't hear you yet. So we'll wait. Whenever you're ready, you hop right in. But all right, so that's what we're talking about tonight. This whole Holloman Air Force Base, is that what it was? I believe, yeah. Holloman Air Force Base, 1954 Greada Treaty between President Eisenhower and the aliens. Now, do you want to fill us in real quick, Ash, about the aliens and what the factions might be regarding this from what you've heard?
Yeah, super common, at least in the remote viewing. Okay, guys. So I'm going to kind of speak for them. Is that there are reptilians, and I believe that they work with the Mantis aliens, which are basically geneticists. They're like really intelligent geneticists who are helping the hybrid program. The reptilians have, they use gray aliens, kind of like a workforce. I mean, imagine humans trying to travel through space. It sucks, right? So these gray beings are like pop in the oven workforce. Then there's the Orions, which are more human looking, potentially Anunnaki or something. Also potentially the Atlantis faction. But there's an Egyptian feel to them. And yeah, they're humanish looking, and those two factions hate each other, but their combined military might is supposedly strong enough to kind of have a foothold here. And so they regrettably work with each other, and they have comparison circles of the same goals, right? There's similar things that they want, which might be human children. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. But yeah, maybe that these two factions kind of work together against another faction called the Galactic Federation of Worlds, which is a conglomerate of different ETs that are more benevolent. And supposedly, the Galactic Federation is waiting for us to get our shit together, and not kind of fall for these other factions. And if the Galactic Federation of Worlds gives up, these other two factions are going to go ham on us. And yeah, that's supposedly the narrative, and that they're going to probably fight each other for us and for supremacy over this world. The remote viewing guys, again, they might be complete psychos, might be either crazy, wrong, or whatever, but I mean, look for yourself. Farsight.org, check them out. They're trying to use the remote viewing to contact extraterrestrials, exopolitics. They're participating in it, and they're trying to contact other alien factions to help liberate the planet. So I know that's pretty fucking crazy sounding, that we all have this ethereal power to go anywhere in time and space, and that they're using it to contact aliens to save the planet from lizard people. I know that sounds fucking crazy, but hey man, you don't fucking know, okay? All right.
Well,
you don't know. You can say I don't know, but you don't know either. So I'm pointing at you. So at the end of the day, UFOs are real. Hey, 2 years ago they freaking weren't. Right?
Yeah,
2 years
exactly.
ago, if I talked about UFOs, I'd be a freaking loony. Now, because 60 Minutes did a stupid ass special, 60 Minutes. Oh, now it's real. Fuck you, okay?
Now it's real. Kelly, welcome to the show. How are you?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good. You sound great, man. The Discord is so much better than the phone line. It's amazing. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Nah, just gonna call in and talk about the subject tonight.
Nice. What do you think? Do you think this meeting happened with Eisenhower and the aliens?
I don't. That's a good question, because I'm gonna give you a quick rundown, real quick. This is what I'll do, because at the time frame, what I do is that I'm gonna look at like the whole time frame around what time, or give or take about 20, 30 years, right? You have the ending of like World War II, right? And then you have what we call, what was known as a paperclip, and then you have the Roswell Area 51, and then Eisenhower, when he gets in, he was a general, and then he gets into being presidency. He wanted to take the first army down to Area 51 to find out what was going on with all the secrets and shit, and after that, after his presidency, he talks about the military-industrial complex. Maybe that was a situation between the government and these rich people, that didn't really need the government. They could, go their own way. That's why you hear, like the breakaway society. Around that time frame, you have the space race. Kennedy was given all that information. He was taken out after a famous speech about, secret societies. Stuff like that. It's kind of within those, and you look at that, and if you really think about it, it's within a 30-year time frame, more or less. Because, all this stuff that, these stories that will, that could happen, and if you think about it, maybe that story is true, that Eisenhower did make that treaty, the Greta Treaty.
Yeah, well, I think regarding so basically, if that's true, Other things we know are true. I mean, you can look at Betty and Barney Hill, Travis Walton, the Fire in the Sky story, and many other abduction phenomena that have happened that included a lot of witnesses, like that Dr. David Jacobs with hundreds of people over 20 plus years of actually doing research into this, and not just him. There's a lot more people. So I mean, I think that seems to be real enough, in my opinion, that people have been abducted of sorts, right, in different capacities, maybe, but if that's the case and that's really happening, I think if you go backwards from there, assuming that's true, I don't think it's that hard to assume that maybe contact was made prior to that happening, right? Or, you know what I mean? Like if one thing's true, the other thing isn't that big of a stretch, is it?
No, because that's just something that we've been told, throughout, that part of history anyway. That that they've. The only reason why it probably popped up is because the news got local newspaper got a hold of that, and they were saying that they flying saucer. That's what they used to call them back then, flying saucers. It was just crashed down and the Army got it. That's the type of journalism that was actually happening, and that used to get out. Because they everybody back then wanted to get information out. What was going on, because you're still thinking that after World War II, there's still, you never know what the hell, people were still on edge. So I don't know, man. That's why I'm saying I look at that time frame, and it could have happened, because you also have. What's interesting is you also have like different things that happen that are giving warnings to us, that is saying that maybe, that you guys were talking about with Ash was, people, others, people, telling us, hey, we need this one race, and they're promising one thing. That's the story that, they promised us one thing, technology, but then we gave up, them to whatever. And one of the things we're including humans. Testing or whatnot. But the story also goes is that they didn't even, they didn't held up their end of the bargain. They pushed it too far. That's where you see, or even stories or even pictures, you still have them too. Not only cattle mutilations, but like human mutilations, stories and stuff like that. So I don't know. Did we or did we not, and how far does it go anyway? Was it the government, or was it this breakaway society that did actually more or less that took on that role of like, since they have the money and the power, that that they made the decision for us, more or less.
Like they live, right? Like at some point when we got outmaneuvered, our elites just kind of succumbed, right, to this faction, and letting them kind of call the shots ever since. And whether it was like Eisenhower that was the meeting was the original catalyst, there is something haunting about a movie like They Live, something like that resonates, that's kind of like disturbing about a movie like that. And that's a good point. Yeah. So oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So, like, percentage-wise, I mean, this is kind of like my. Again, I'm not 100% sold on this, but this is my de facto. This is my current theory, because the remote viewing data is substantial. You could write it all off, but it really just makes everything kind of make sense. Would you bet money on this with this theory? Would you? I mean, because you're very interested in ancient alienish kind of like with religions and our cultures kind of interacting with the potential extraterrestrials. They could potentially be this Orion faction that we've been talking about. Kelly, I would recommend, I haven't watched it yet, but they remote viewed Ra, and they saw a being literally like killing slaves with like technology. That's all I know about it, but maybe we should hop in Discord and watch that one night together and see what you think. But so as far you're very familiar with that, the Anunnaki story and all that. Does that kind of fit with the narrative? And would you lead credence to this theory?
Well, Yeah, because again, if this is some of the stuff that, like, some people have theories that were, you have the Orions because the buildings that were made from the Orion belt, like all the pyramids, the different, from like Mexico to Egypt and stuff like that. But for me, that could be one. I mean, you also have a lot of things that that lead to. For me, it'd be the reptilian race, and that's because, again, the reptilian race is an ancient race that's known throughout the galaxies. They're actually, from some of the stuff that I researched, is that they're one of the ones that are actually, they've been around. Not only them, but like the Draconian race. I guess they're upper echelons or whatnot. But yeah, they're one of the older races throughout the galaxies, and there's kind of like, they go to planets, and that's where they would probably be at, would be underground, or, they would probably adjust the planet so they could, be able to live. Maybe that's what they're doing here on this planet, but I don't know, man. To bring it down all the way even to the Anunnaki, even like that, there, of course, if you're rolling a planet, right, and, you have these beings that you created, right? And they were first a working class, and then, you try to wipe them out one time with the deluge or whatnot, or like some kind of flooding, or at least most of them, right? Something that was not, they didn't want, like the creation of like giants and stuff. That's where I think my theory on that is like that, that, they created something, and then, that was giants. Or maybe it was the, they were talking about the Igigi, right? Because there seemed to be a different, like a whole different species, if not, they say a different faction of the Anunnaki. But it's weird because when the Anunnaki, when they mated with their creation, they just more or less added more DNA, because they said that make us in their creation, or their likeness or whatnot. But the Igigi, when they did it, there was an abomination, right? That's where you hate the fallen angels. They taught us all this, the ways of, like, the stars, the makeup for women and all this other stuff. But they made it like it was the bad thing that we gained knowledge. But that's all they did, is seemed like that's all it was. And if you look at the whole thing about Satan or whatever, anything, if you look at the ancient words for that, it's like he's the light bringer, or the something that has to do with, something that's bringing, the light or knowledge or whatever. So it's like, it's weird. You bring all that stuff into, all that stuff, and that comes in all religions and all factions. But right. If you're still here, they still want power. And it's not just, the old stories of their parents, but like the generations after them. And to actually do that, for me too, is even, I follow all stories of like aliens or different type of species, because I don't really, I lean more to the Anunnaki story, more or less. But you would have to agree that there's other species that's been here, because one of them is because we attracted them. That you guys are correct, is when we started dropping A-bombs and nuclear weapons. That gives a whole different vibrational frequencies that it sends out from this planet. That, hey, there's a war going on, and that maybe attracts somebody, right? And if that's the case, that's they find out that we're here, like, oh, so what do we do? Do we bow down, or do we make a treaty with these people for technologies, and maybe they want something else from us?
Yeah, what's interesting? That's actually a good point, and I'm like, I'm gonna forget in a few seconds here. But during the treaty, one of the remote viewers was saying the reptilian in the Orion group was meeting with the human, and the human was going in kind of somewhat almost hopeful, hoping for a mentorship type of role, and then the other beings were like, no, we're at fucking war with you. Like their mentality was like, we're here to fuck you up. And like, that's what did he say? What was the language? We're here to hurt you. And So when they agreed to the deal, they were like, "Wow!" They couldn't believe they got such a good deal, and it would make a lot of sense. And it just seems like there's a whole lot out there. You know, we get whiffs of it. It could all be like it's hard to believe it's all bullshit. Like, right? Like all these ancient artifacts, the pyramids. It's all kind of pointing that there's a lot more out there that we just don't understand and we don't know. And we're at a severe disadvantage, you know, not knowing. And again, it comes back to the fact that, you know, we should be in on the conversation. We should be knowing. And until we do know, until we can have these conversations with some sort of education, we're kind of at the whim of the people who do. And that's kind of like life. It's like you either know or you don't, right? It's like, do you know the guy? Do you know someone in the government? Do you not, you know, or whatever. So yeah, great points. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know either, Kelly, and I'm trying to figure it out too. And you read a million different things, and it's tough, but you kind of like end up leaning toward a few things. So you're leaning toward Anunnaki story for sure. That's kind of like your.
Okay, not only that. That's where that's where I say the whole creation of like the human race and stuff. But again, there's been different different type of species that visited Earth, you know, and that's prevalent throughout history in different parts of the world. You know, it's because the stories they're not all the same. I mean, but most of the creation stories are the same. But we're talking about like different gods and different like statues and pictures and stuff that they have. They're not all the same. You know, they're all different. They're, you know, if it was all the same. Which you'll find most of the majority that, you know, if we get into this, then that's a whole different show. But like you can find different, you know, statues and whatnot and drawings. I have a ton of information for that too. But you also look at, you know, stuff too. Again, around that time frame, you know, 50s and 60s, you have the story of Valiant Thor, where he came. You know, he was supposed to be from Venus or part of the, you know, that whole.
Galactic Federation.
At the Galactic Federation space team, you know, that they wanted to have us, hey, these people are giving you, you know, that was the warning, though, you know, he was like, these guys are, you know, they're giving you the technology, but, you know, you might want to watch what the hell they're doing because, you know, right. I don't know if they knew about them or, you know, obviously they had to have.
Well, there was, you know, do you remember those crop circles? They were highly detailed. And that was the message. There was one, an extraterrestrial being in a crop. This is a crop circle, and he had a disc on his finger, and it was like a binary basically within the disc, and it basically said like, beware of those bearing gifts, you know, because for so many words you're about to get fucked. but there's the galactic. Ashtar of the Galactic Command, they did a broadcast, right? And this common interjection, this like these random third parties that have been showing up more recently are saying the same thing, like, hey, like there's time, you need to like reverse course, and it just falls right in line with this kind of narrative that the government is kind of making these deals. I really feel like us in this sort of community, this family, I think we should really dogpile into this disclosure. I think we should do what we can to kind of give that as much momentum and energy as possible. Because, you know, at the end of the day, all these conversations that we're having, they all kind of stem on this thing. If whether disclosure happens or not, right? That's kind of like, we can't have the conversation at all until it does. So, yeah, great stuff, man. Awesome. Always great. Mike, do you have anything to ask?
Yeah, hold on
Kelly?
Real quick, guys. Kelly, you're welcome to stay. We got a call here on the phone. Been 10 minutes waiting. Let's get this guy in. And like I said, you don't have to go anywhere. Let's take Robert in Pennsylvania. What's up, Robert? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike, Ash, and Kelly. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm fine.
Right. Go right ahead. What do you think about this Eisenhower business? Go ahead.
These aliens are scared to death of us. All right? I don't care what their technology is. Most of these aliens are frail. All right? You could probably take on 4 of them, Mike, yourself, and whip some real alien ass.
Yeah, baby.
They're scared of our warlike nature. All right. If they weren't, they would have done us in a long time ago. All right. But that's not what I'm calling about. I'm calling about, let's put that 1950 all the way up to present time. What went on during that time that kind of points the finger? Yes, Eisenhower did in fact make an agreement. All right. And I wasn't being funny, and I hope I haven't been insensitive when I mentioned that we didn't have the preponderance of Alzheimer's disease, our symptoms, before that time. Matter of fact, the dawn of it started in the 50s. I'm talking about autism. I'm talking about particularly the Alzheimer's part of that part of the autism spectrum. And I personally feel in my gut, one of the problems the aliens have is people say, well, they don't have any soul. All right? It's not that they don't have souls. All life has souls. What they lack is what we have. We have human emotions. We know we can love, we can hate, we can imagine, we can do all kinds of things and we feel so profoundly as human beings. They don't. They talk like some. They communicate and they live their lives without any sense of feeling. They're all brains. All right. They're so well advanced. They're so far advanced that they've lost the ability to be human, to have those feelings, and that's what they're trying to get. Because you can have all the souls. They can have souls, but without those souls are as dead as anything in the ground. You see where I'm going?
Yeah, so they're visiting us somehow to maybe live vicariously through us through some sort of mental connection, or they're here to maybe steal our emotional juju, emotional juice, whatever it might be, right?
No, they're not
something
here
like
to
that.
steal it. They're here to recreate it.
Okay.
In their own offspring. They can't make offspring anymore. All right. The age that they've been in, some of them are even immortals. They've been here they've been around for probably millions of years. Some of them, right? And their advancement, as they advanced, they lost a lot of things that they used to have as biological beings when they were not so far advanced, right? And I think that what they're doing here is that they're when you talk about the hybrid babies, all right, women who have been brought back onto a ship and have spotted their hybrid babies, women have been found themselves pregnant and they did not have sexual intercourse. The Virgin Mary is an example of that, all right? But in modern times as well, how does this happen, all right? They're trying to blend, to make a hybrid, to continue their species by putting that extra ingredient back in of human feelings.
Right. There's two things here I kind of want to.
Hard to talk about.
No, Robert, this is good stuff. So there's can you hear me, by the way? You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so two things is, if souls are real and souls come into bodies and they live in incarnation, that means that this reality is kind of like whatever. It's like a play. It's like a thing to do. Maybe, living a human life is the most optimal for development, right? Is for your personal soul development, or it's just maybe it's just better, right? So I really, that's a really good point. Damn, I forgot the second thing. Oh yeah, so the second thing was they sensed the intentions of the extraterrestrials, and that they wanted to live among us. like here and there and other places, and that's what we found in the hybridization program, that they live here. Then did you hear about this on Robert Downey Jr.'s channel on his Instagram? He posted something, oh, get ready, the hybrids are coming, and I was like, what the fuck? I thought it was just my weird ass.
Well, I don't know where he's coming from, because they've been here the hybrids have been growing in population since the 50s. I mean,
he was talking about a movie. Yeah, he was talking about a movie coming out, and the movie is about a hybrid kid. It's really weird. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, interrupt you.
They've been impregnating our women, all right, and those mothers are raising their children, having no idea that the man they married is not the baby's father. And then they find out when the kid's about 4 or 5 years old, what the hell happened? You know, there's this wonderful little boy, or most of them are males, by the way. Wonderful little boy, and all of a sudden, at the age of 4 or 5, something turns off in him. All right? And that turn off is that part of the alien that is cold, has no feelings, are unable to get, to have human compassion. That triggers around that age. So that's what these aliens are trying to accomplish. And I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm saying this is something I've been thinking about for a long, long time. What they're trying to do is stop that. All right? They want to foster their own race with humans here on Earth, like they did back in ancient times. All right? But they want them not to have the same problems of being unable to have human feelings, because those aliens don't. They can't, because they're too advanced in the head. They're like the absent-minded professors, right? Because their intelligence and their length of time and existence has gone beyond the ability to think and feel as a person. And they haven't had trouble relating to one another. And this is passed on to these hybrid children, and they're trying to figure a way that doesn't get triggered. And I know what I'm saying is incredibly complicated, all right, and hopefully it makes a little bit of sense here, because if anybody's trying to think that these aliens are here because they want to eat our babies, our children, that's to me is humor, all right, because they're not here to feed on us.
No, I like this. I like this because if you have the option of genetics, right? So how natural selection is how things work now, right? So, if you survive, then the female or the male, you mate, and then your genes get passed on. So that's like a natural selection process, and that's an algorithm that works. But if you're that advanced, you can do whatever. You can make whatever kind of person. And so at some point, you just make your own babies or do this or that. And if you prioritize intelligence, your stats and other things are going to go down, right, over time. So maybe you're right. Maybe there's something valuable in humans that they're trying to make the perfect being, the perfect body. I mean, it seems as if these extraterrestrials can jack into bodies at will. So imagine you're always trying to make the best body.
And the starting point there I'm trying to point out was in the early 50s. Because there was no such thing as autism or Alzheimer's syndrome before then. Not until the modern day UFO phenomenon. That's when it started. Do you really believe that there were autistic or kids with people with autistic symptoms that existed in the 1800s? Never hear about it. This is a modern phenomenon, all right? And now some people want to say it's vaccines, all right? And I have my own feeling about that is also tied in probably to alien experimentation, but I'm not going to go into that. what I want to do is get off, because I think I've made the points I made, and I'd rather, it's an uncomfortable conversation, all right? I think I can see that with Michael there, that he's a little bit uncomfortable with this conversation. I'm going to get away from it. But I would like to recommend a show that you might want to do in the future. I don't think you ever done.
Sure.
Do you ever hear of something called the Vero?
No.
All right. There was a guy named Richard Shaver, all right, who wrote several books. Matter of fact, he communicated with a classic science fiction. I think was it Fate magazine back in the 40s, claiming that he entered a cave and found that there's these Vero that live underground that are responsible for a lot of what's happening in the world. They basically control humanity from that. Do you mind if I put a link in the chat?
Yeah, please do.
Some article.
Please do.
So you can see for yourself if you want to do that.
Sure, please do. I'd love to look at it. I love stuff I haven't heard of, and I love stuff that kind of fits in with what we're doing.
Oh, this is fascinating stuff. It was a big deal back in the 40s and early 50s. A lot, it's a matter of fact, if you Google Richard Shaver, all right, Wikipedia has a whole thing on it. But it's been branded a hoax, all right, but everything's branded a hoax.
It is.
I think there's something, there's anything that comes along in this particular category that isn't branded a hoax, all right, until it's not a hoax anymore.
Okay.
All right?
Send it over, my man.
So
Send it over. I appreciate it. Thank you for the call tonight. Thanks for the great ideas. Thanks for the link and the suggestion. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Have a fantastic night, my man.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Bye.
Thanks. Have a great night. That's Robert. We had Ash there interacting. Any take on that, Kelly? I'm sure you heard most of that because, the audio's fixed. Yay, the audio's fixed.
Yeah, you know what? There's an interesting theory that he has about, that the reason why they want to take over is because, they want to have, the human feeling. But that's the thing, if that's, maybe that's, I would change it up to a little bit, that theory right there. It's that maybe they, not to the point that they were so advanced, that they lost their human ability, because who says they were human? I would see, I could understand what he was saying, but what I would change on that would be that, they want to know what it is to feel human, because they were so advanced, that, throughout their space travel, that, they did become advanced and they get here and they want to feel, what it is to, that's why they want to mate with, with human species, again, with their species, so they could, have that feeling of what, that to be Earth, like a, to a earthbound planet, or like, or on a planetary surface, again, because then, I'm pretty sure you feel more alive, you don't really have anything digital in front of you. It's, you're not, we're talking the old, let's say the old Star Trek, style that you jump through space time like that, or Star Wars, or, even though you do space jump, but like, if you're a race and your planet died and you're on these giant spaceships, right? And you're trying to look for a different planet, and you roll up on one, but you've been out there for so damn long, you lose sense of what it is to be alive, as any kind of species anyway, and then you dock to a planet and you want to, the only way you can do that would be to mate with that species, that'd be an interesting thought on that one.
Yeah, I'm with you. So if you take just the human race and where we're headed right now, the transhumanism thing with, adding electronics to our body, right? Like starting with just Neuralink and things like this, eventually we'll have bionic limbs because it's going to be more efficient. Imagine like a human worker in a factory with like bionic arms that could lift like, like the Incredible Hulk, right? Like just like you wouldn't need forklifts, right? You just pick up the 1,000 pounds with your bionic arms, and I like those types of things are probably within a couple hundred years of humans being like a regular thing. It's like, oh, I decided to take the plunge instead of going to college. I'm going to get bionic arms and just go kick ass in the whatever industry. I'm in the rodeo industry or whatever it is, right? But imagine 1,000 years of that, or like 1,000 generations of that. So I don't think that theory that you said, or like Robert was talking about there, is so far fetched that if we have these whatever they might be, entities that are, let's say, 1,000 generations ahead of us, they're probably going to be more machine than biological. And so as a result, I think maybe you're right with that kind of coming back to that biology of the emotion, of the the feelings, the whatever it is that we have, the thing that humans have. I think maybe it's hubris, maybe it's biased because I'm human. Fine. But I would imagine if you're like a robotic species that has mostly more machine than man, more machine than alien, that you would be interested in entities that are probably just on the cusp of becoming like you, but not quite yet. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense to me that they would be interested because we're right there. We're probably like literally just a couple 300 years away maybe of everybody being outfitted with electronics, right? It's probably something like that going. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I don't know. For me, I think I don't even know why people want to go to the, maybe for the, I don't know, the cool factor for like robotics and stuff like that. But for me, it's all, the mind's more powerful than that anyway, than any kind of computer. That's why they're trying to make a computer to be like a mind, a human mind, right? But if we can tap into our true power, you don't even need any of that. That's what my belief is. And that's the thing that I think maybe why these species, that once we were interbred and we were made to what we are now between two species, and that's the whole stories that you find, whether it be Anunnaki or whatever other kind of race or religion that you find, that, yeah, man, I believe that, you don't even need robotics. That's what they're trying to create. Well, but, the body breaks. Maybe, you see those stories of Science Now, like I ran across one, I posted it on Discord, where they're saying that the body can reproduce, like if you got your arm chopped off, you just grow another one. But we haven't tapped into the mental ability to do that. But, if you could do that, just like some lizards, they lose their tail or they lose their leg, but they grow the shit right back. They have the ability to do that. But I just think there's that old, I'm telling you, that's why I'm more interested in, that's what, like Ash was saying, I am. That's what interests me more, because if you find that, I believe it's hidden somewhere in there, in some parts, and maybe in all parts of the ancient histories, is that it's already teachings. You just gotta put that ability to work, and I believe that the body was even be, the human mind, it can, we got amazing things we could do.
Yeah, for sure.
Amen,
for sure.
brother. I mean, look, this whole topic was spawned by remote viewing. How the fuck does that even work, right? But think about how powerful that is. You can go anywhere in the universe at any time instantly with your body, with just like what you have. Like, go take a dump and you can start remote viewing. You don't need like rockets or lasers or AI. You don't need any of that shit. You could just literally you know what? I'm gonna go see what Putin's doing right now. And that's if the repercussions of this being potentially true is immense. It just changes reality and how our biological suit, I guess, interacts with it. There's supposedly it's called an ISB, which is basically like an is and biological entity, meaning your is you, your soul. That's like the language. That's like the supposed deep breakaway civilization. They already know these things, that you have a soul, which is your is, and that you are tethered or inside of your meat suit, which has millions of years of genetic memory. And the combination of these two make you like a superhero to some degree. And I've heard that humans are the technology that we have inside of us, because we could be a mix of these different extraterrestrial species that interbred with us throughout all history. There's so many stories of that you mentioned. Fuck, what are we? Are we like it? Are we the shit in the universe? And that these hybrid beings supposedly can do things like draw perfect circles backwards and like do so maybe all of this, and this is all spawned off of Robert. God damn it, Robert. You got us all tangenting out.
This is all your fault, Robert.
Robert.
Thanks for the call.
This is all your fault, son of a bitch. No, that maybe we are, just like the religion say, God's. We are the product. We are the thing, the fucking thing. Like, we are the pinnacle of production of existence. I mean, sure, why not? Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, great
I don't know if it's true, but
great comment by Tam on Facebook here. She says, I've said this before, hybridization of aliens and humans, in my opinion, must be the aliens wanting not only a human experience, but also aliens needing a soul to connect to God. And I think that's a great take on all this. Maybe to kind of sew this up as a nice, beautiful conversation at the end of the night here. Good stuff, Tam. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging out with us. Great comments. Shout out to Jennifer. I see you out there in the chat on YouTube. Thanks for hanging out. All the thoughtful chat. I see it. I appreciate new people coming in and being enthusiastic about these conversations. We've got a fantastic community here, and basically the only rule is don't be a dick. That's it. Don't be a dick. It's like,
fuck you, Kelly.
No, don't do that. Kelly's cool. Kelly's cool. Don't do that. But all right, let's wind this up, Kelly. Let's get your final thoughts. We got about 10 minutes left, and we got Jay to do the outro with us. So let's wind this up, Kelly. Your final thoughts tonight, and then let's finish this sucker up.
Well, my final thoughts for tonight, for the tonight show, I would probably lean a little bit more towards yes. That is a possibility that Eisenhower did have a treaty put together. I mean, why not? Because if you're talking, and that's a problem, if that kind of actually did happen, because you're trying to base your this technology is saying that the all human race is actually can be traded. You know what I mean? Why would you want to do that? Whether that. To me, it's kind of bigger than just the United States. By doing that, you're signing off all human species on this planet. Not just one country. And if that's the case, and that's kind of weird too. Like I said, if you go back in the timeline, after World War II, and the paperclip thing, all this shit started just blowing up. All these stories and stuff. Not only the fact that the Russians, there's stories that they're in mixture with some other species, for technology as well. But again, for me, that I don't know if I could do that if I was Eisenhower. Just to, because you have to think bigger as a world species, not just as technology for your own country to better just your own country. That'd be kind of selfish if you did that. But who knows? There's stories like that could happen, and who knows? Maybe the government. Maybe that's the warning that I was talking about. Maybe that he was saying that the government did do that, but maybe these rich people that were the breakaway society, and that's the things he was talking about with the military-industrial complex, and even Kennedy, and which would that story that or the speech that he had got him killed for that. You kind of got to take a big picture, a big picture of like, those time frames of those years. But yeah, again, it's a possibility.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, Kelly, as always. Kelly's, like I said, Kelly, the very first caller ever, way back in the day. And he's been true to form and contributing quite a lot. So I thank you for your time, for giving us all your fantastic takes, and for spending your time with us, man. I know you could be doing 1,000 other things, and we appreciate it a lot.
All right, man. No problem, man. I enjoy this just like everybody else, searching for the knowledge and the truth, and finding out what everybody's, what everybody's theories there is. There's a million of them, just like the possibility of different life throughout there. Possibilities of thousands of lives, thousands of different theories. So, it's just, boy, it's knowledge to me. I take all this stuff that I research, not just only in one direction, but many directions, and and share that. And hopefully one day we all find out the real truth of what's going on.
Amen to that,
brother. Amen, brother.
Amen.
Amen, brother.
Thanks a lot, Kelly. I'm gonna move you out. We're gonna move Jay in. Have a fantastic night. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right, brother.
Thanks, bro. All right, let's do it. Let's go outro with Jay, and we'll do final thoughts. What's up, Jay? How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for being patient on the chat there. And outro with Jay is a thing now. I kind of like it. You kind of like it? I kind of like it.
Oh, I love it. What do you think, Jay?
What's up, buddy?
About everything that's been going on today. I was listening to you when I was talking to my dad and stuff like that in the first hour and stuff like that.
What does your dad think?
He still won't talk about it.
Nah, he was a
firefighter for 33 years for the Air Force, and he'll give me like a little boot in the derriere down the road to start thinking about one thing. And I talked to you guys about it, and it's like, wow, that's really putting scrambled eggs in the noggin. It's just
wait, like he knows something, or
I know he's seen stuff. I mean, him and my mom both admitted to the fact that they saw a UFO when they were driving home from the base one day.
Oh, but you got to remember, he comes from an era where that shit is super taboo.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's like we're going back here where you're talking about Eisenhower in the beginning. I mean, if you had a hardware store or you're there, stacking up the lumber at the end of the day or something like that, and you saw something and said something to you about it, you'd be out of business. Or the tow truck guy down on some dirt road somewhere picking somebody up, and you got two witnesses you're seeing that, right? Well, now you're out of business. Nobody wants to talk to you. The whole disclosure thing that's coming, it really bugs me is, and all those blacked out magic marker parts that they did over the typewriter thing back in the day. How many people's lives were ruined because shut up or we're going to give you a long walk in the woods or something, I mean,
or like destroy your business or threaten your family or all kinds of things. Like this was the reality back in the day. Like, you think
give your firstborn to the people coming down for the blood money for the cell phone technology,
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I mean, that's
all this is hard to say, especially going back because most of us are of the younger variety, and it was a different time. Things operated differently back then, so I get it. I understand. Like if anybody had grandparents that fought in World War II, like how many of them, honestly, how many of your grandparents that were mine did? You know what they ever told me about World War II? Not a fucking word. You know why? Because that's just traumatic as hell. Like it's you're from a generation where like you held your trauma inside. You're not trying to like relive horrific incidents over and over again, right? Like you bury that. And so like we were children, of course, before my grandparents passed away. I only have one left now. But you see my point. It's like they held it close. It wasn't. You don't share these things because
you don't need to know that.
Yeah.
You don't need to know what we did over there. Why would you need to know that?
Yeah.
What we did over there was horrible.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was what they were doing was more horrible. What we were doing, but lesser of two evils, I suppose.
Killing people is horrific, no matter how you slice it. Period.
Be nice about it. It's one of the things that I was Boy Scout leader for a long time. Hunting merit badges and all those things, shotgun, rifle, and all. But if you're going to kill something, at least be nice about it. If the wife comes out and says, "There's a spider in the bathtub, you got to kill it," and you go in there and you hand up the flip flop, and he's flopping around a little bit. Give him the quick second whap, man. Put him out of his misery. if you're going to kill something, be nice about it. You know, it's just, I don't know.
Jay, that reminds me, I actually had I was putting rocks in a pond. I was like decorating a pond, and there was a spider on the rock when I put it in. And I'm looking at the spider. He's just chilling. He's like underwater, just chilling. Dude, I don't even think he knew he was underwater.
Yeah,
I was like, fuck. No, I was like, fuck. Dude, I don't know what the spider is doing. So then I had to go get a net and then get the spider. And it took me like 15 minutes. We caught the spider. And then it's like huge. And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like trying to figure it out. And eventually got it out in the woods. And it was just 15 minutes to try and get this thing to survive that I'm like, don't even want to get near. But yeah, there's something about that, right? Like about just being a human, you know, and being a good person. So
just be nice about it. I mean, that's all, you know. I mean, I work on old houses, man. There's been times where I pulled out my, 24-ounce framing hammer and smacked one of them. That dude's going to eat me. Well, damn, I'm going to hit you with a hammer.
There's good types, there's bad types. Like I see a brown recluse, I'm not going to. There's no mercy.
Yeah,
like
you're getting a hammer, dude.
Hell yeah. So funny you guys were saying this. I mentioned this earlier on one of the breaks. We had a baby bird in the backyard today. Fell out of a nest, and I was kind of doing my business today in the house, doing this, doing that, the other thing, getting ready for the show. And I kept hearing this bird screaming, right? And you know how it's spraying in like the baby birds, or there's just noise all the time. So I didn't think anything of it. Afternoon comes. It's about maybe 5 p.m. Mrs. Strange is coming home. I look at the out back, and there's this baby bird just chilling in the backyard. I'm like, what is he? And so it became this calamity just before the show to try and figure out what to do with this baby bird, right? The cats are going to get him or some shit. But the nest clearly was right above where he was laying there. And he was screaming all day. And it never clicked in my brain that, that it might have been like a scream for help. But anyway, so we got him in a box. He's up back in the tree. And the mother bird right now has, in the past hour or two, Mrs. Strange has been monitoring the situation. The mother bird has now come back to our little box we put him in on top of the fence, which we weighed down with rocks so it won't fall off.
Sweet.
And she's trying to save this baby bird. He was out in the sun all day. Like, he might just die of heat exhaustion. We brought him in the air conditioner for like 10 or 15 minutes and then he started moving. He started moving around and started chirping and shit. But he can't fly. He's like literally probably days away from flying. He's just big enough where he can move around, but not quite big enough where he can fly.
Eyedropper with some water. I don't know. What do you have for soil out there? You have grass? I mean, you're in Arizona, right? No grass. You got sand, backyard.
Grass. Yeah, no, it's
so you got no worms.
It's all dirt. But anyway, he's back up there, and the mother is back with him.
She'll feed him.
She's going to feed him. So I'm going to
maybe
check
a bowl of water.
Everything's good. Yeah, I did. I tried to give him water. He was probably too shell shocked and scared to death of me to touch it. But I tried to put some. I didn't touch him. I didn't want to put my scent on him or anything. But anyway, just kind of.
That's how we're going to be with the aliens. The aliens are going to come to us, and that's how we're going to be with them. It's like, oh my god, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Well, just kind of point being funny. You bring up the spiders, and this thing happened in the backyard today. So anyway, I'll go check on this, and hopefully, he's days away from flying. He's kind of big for a baby. He's got the feathers, and you see him forming, but he doesn't know how to fly yet. The second he can fly, he's going to be good. But anyway, just, those types of things. Like, I could be like, fuck it, the cats are going to eat him, like not care. I don't know, man.
Survival of the fittest, Darwin. How do you look at it, really? I mean.
Yeah, but it was no skin off my back.
You see somebody who wants crying for help, man, I'll give you a box and, kitchen towel and a glass of water and,
exactly.
I'll even run down to the pet store and buy you some mealworms.
Just point being, like it
pat you on the ass, pick you up, and
sometimes a little thing goes a long way, I don't know. I hope he makes it, Anyway, just to kind of, back to the Ash's spider story and what you guys were talking about. Anyway, let's wrap this up, Jay. What do you think? Eisenhower the aliens? Yay or nay?
Yeah, money said, I'm a gambler. I'll bet on him. He did it, Bought the Dogecoin, I'm 47 cents down now on my investment.
I got screwed up with Dogecoin too. I expected.
I'm only 47 cents down. I've been watching D&D there. Just keeping up with them and stuff. And it's like I'm holding on, but it's not looking good.
All good. All right. So your money is on Eisenhower did it. We made a deal with the aliens, and it was probably a bad deal. You think?
it's probably not going to end up good. I mean, when you start trading, that's like against what you're doing. You know what I mean? You start thinking about that. What Ash was saying earlier, missing children is. I'll leave it at that, and we'll leave out lobbyists and laws and everything else like that are going on. But
probably best.
I don't want to throw us in there. I love the conversations. I mean, it's great to talk about these things and think about them and hear everybody's different take on it. But the SG, the Stargate thing that he was talking, where MacGyver was the chief, the goings on, and they had the lizards that were living in the people. The guy that was the chief, that was surrounded by all the little boys and stuff like that, they were embiotes or whatever I think they were called. I don't remember. It was a long time ago when I watched the show. It was on broadcast TV, middle of the night before the internet. But they were hosts for the new lizards. It was an honor to become a host for the lizard that lived inside you, and you had a collective between each other. It was just, I thought that was odd that he brought that up in the beginning of all of the show there.
But, lots as always. The good news is, the bad news is we're about to be finished here. The good news is, God willing, we'll be talking about this again tomorrow. If you're new here, I know we got some new folks out there. We do this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, and we go for 3 hours, 2 hours on the radio, 1 hour off. Take phone calls, and we want to know what you think. Again, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what Ash thinks. We're trying to present some information to start a conversation and jog your mind to consider other possibilities. That's it. That's really it. So let's do it. You got a quote for us? Let's actually.
I do.
All right. What's the quote?
The quote is, always remember the who, what, when, where, and why. And when care is pressing down on you a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit.
Amen. Oh shit, that's a good one. Who said that?
I believe the who, what, when, where, why is what they teach you in journalism school. That's like the 101.
I see.
But when the care is pressing down on you a bit, rest if you must, if you should not quit. I believe it's Mother Teresa, and it's a very small part of a larger poem.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Great shit, Jay. Great shit. Thank you. Thank you again for being patient with us. Thanks for doing the outros with us. Thanks for bringing a good quote, and thanks for being uplifting, my man. Always good stuff from you. And spread the love. Spread the love to humanity. And if you find a baby bird in the backyard, do your best to help him out, eh? I know you will.
Good job, Mike.
Thanks,
proud of you.
Thanks, Jay. You're the best. We'll talk to you soon. I'm gonna move you out. We're gonna finish this sucker up. Actually, I'm gonna just leave you here so you can listen. I'm gonna mute you and let's finish. We're doing this. All right, let's go. Let's finish, Ash. Thanks again, Jay. Appreciate the quote. Fantastic shit. Let's roll. We got about 3.5 minutes of music. So go.
Start that bitch up. What's up? Yo. No, it's
oh god.
This is Ash. This is Ash from Mars. If you're still tuning in, what the fuck are you doing? No.
Don't you want everything better to
thank
do?
you. No, yeah. If you're still here, hey man, we're talking about the fate of the human species. What else is there to talk about, right? Like that's some pretty deep shit. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your time and your effort and letting me infect your mind with some of this stuff. Maybe this stuff, let it simmer in there and let it go for a few days, maybe a few weeks, and maybe some things will connect for you, But that's the point of this, because these conversations you can't have anywhere else because we're not allowed. It's weird. It's crazy. Fuck all that. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this stuff. Don't let them tell you what you can do. You talk about what you want. So if you're thinking about it, you're paying attention. I'm proud of you for sticking in and we were talked about aliens and the government. So, I don't know either. But maybe we learned something tonight. Maybe we're on the case, right? Maybe we'll figure it out. So again, thank you for tuning in. I'm Ash, the Reptilian from Mars. Check out my YouTube channel. My computer got fucked like 3 weeks ago, and I'm recovering from that. But I do have an episode that's ready to go. I'll be on the Bunny channel this Sunday, live in reptilian form. We're gonna do some remote viewing shit, so check that out. If you want to gain superpowers, you probably don't. It's just superpowers. It's not that cool. So yeah, thank you, Mike, for letting me come on here and say stuff. I'm so glad it's the third hour, so I can fucking not think about everything to say. And I'm a little toasted, but I've gotten good at doing that. I think I've gotten better at that. I got drunk one episode. Mike's like, "Whoa, what's up?" And I'm like, "I don't know,
bro. Eat a handful of crackers. What the fuck are you doing?"
I put like way too much liquor in there. No, I'm good right now. But so
we're all good. We're all good.
We're all good. Thanks.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you guys for tuning in. This one's important to me. This episode was really important to me. Seriously, I really feel like this is going on, and if it is, I mean, man, maybe we could save ourselves. Maybe we can save the human race together. So, maybe. So, again, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for making me feel a little less crazy. And yeah, that's it.
All right. If you like this show, this is Ash the Reptilian from Mars. Follow him on YouTube. This show, Troubled Minds, Ash is on every Wednesday. So if you subscribe up and follow us here, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. All kinds of crazy conversations. We talk about the surveillance state, aliens, you name it. It's all over the damn place. The paranormal. We haven't done the paranormal in a while, so I feel like maybe tomorrow we'll do a paranormal show. Why the hell not? Nobody else is, so we're gonna. One more time. Troubled Minds. I'm me. You're you. Together we're us. Thanks for listening. Be sure, be strong, be true. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening, guys. Thanks for listening.